gotten sick from it. You know you're going too far when other...
She causes me the never-ending agony of what I'm about to take part of, and she can't be there because she's doing her own stream. That's okay. That's normal. Completely zeroed out. Fuck. No! My body! My brain! My everything! Truly, every part of my body is already aching and we haven't even begun yet. So these would get me stricken. I know that for a certain fact. These would get me stricken. That also probably gets stricken. We can try this. And we can try this. Then I need to start adding music again. Yeah, that's that one. This is this one. Alright. Ugh.
You are listening to 148.8 The Coon, where we get into the shit that nobody want to talk about. Unlike your mama. You don't know what the fuck she did at the last fucking pot swap meet with a chicken salad. They don't want her back no more, bro. You're listening to 148.8 The Coon.
And now, Carl's words of wisdom.
You know, sometimes y'all just don't need to be talking. Just close your mouth. Just close your mouth. You're listening to 148.8 The Coon, playing the spiciest jazz and the nappiest licks.
Fuck you, YouTube! If you're cool enough to watch a new streamer this week, you're a big enough Chad to watch Single Player Carl. Bad words, Carl's a breakdown. Memes! If you think you'll find a bread tuber at Single Player Carl's, you can kiss my aunt. It's our belief that if you're such a base mother lover, you'll watch this guy's stream. Guaranteed! If you don't find niggatry cool, you can shove it up your subscribe list. You heard us right. Shove it up your subscribe list. Bring your friends, bring your pets, bring your mom. We'll love your mom. That's right. We'll love your mom. At Single Player Carl's, you'll catch 6 ways to Sunday. Take a hike to Single Player Carl's, home of challenge laughing. That's right, challenge laughing. How does it work? If you can catch Carl being ignorant as fuck and not laugh once, you'll get nothing but shame. Don't wait, don't delay, don't fuck with us or you'll whip your weave off. Only at Single Player Carl's, the only stream that tells you to fuck on. What are you waiting for? Go to Single Player Carl's, New Orleans' nappiest, an exclusive home to the meanest sons of Cajuns in the state of Georgia. Guaranteed! Just imagine like a line of fucking heartless and fucking nobodies dancing in this shit. I need to get that edited one day. You remember, you are listening to Radio Carl. One of the few streamers that mixes this shit live. This side of T-Pain and Twitch.
You're listening to 148.8 The Coon. And now, for a word from our sponsors. Sponsors for Single Player Carl and Radio Coon are provided by BBC Migraine Powder, Jib and Toby's Ethnic Enrichment Playground, Cringe On Demand, Blockbuster Entertainment, Uncle Tony's Riot Seasoning, Smart Negro Brand Colonized and Sheets Dating App, Immemorial Malt Liquor, and PointDexter.com, and the generous donations and watch times from viewers and haters like you. Thank you! And if you'd like to support Carl, consider leaving a wonderful donation at Ko-fi.com, Subscribestar.com, YouTube.com, and Twitch.com/SinglePlayerCarl. Make sure to support your niggatry today, or you hate black people.
Ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls of multiple ages that are at least above 18 plus, because no kids are allowed. Adult Swim, all kids out of the pool. I'm in pain. I am in pain because I'm being forced to learn about, well, not forced to learn about, but forced to re-experience again Pamperchu. I have cheese and I have a clicker that will count how many times I'm in actual agony. Rather than a normal procedure, I'm going to not bloviate on most issues, topics, or subject matter for this stream. Instead, I'm going to have a counter in my hand, and we're going to see how much I want to hurt myself by the end of this live stream. It is both a challenge and it is also a punishment, because horror, while loving the content, doesn't like me being sane. So, as was known before last week, we were supposed to have gotten this done on the Sunday before last, and then the weekend after that. Unfortunately, my body was not cooperating on account of either stress-related health complications as well as my body deciding that it wanted to be nocturnal all of a sudden for the last 10 and a half days. Partially part from back pain, which he said as he eyes the ibuprofen, and partially due to nagging for words stronger than someone refusing to let me sleep because they figured television was more important than my sanity. I've done over-the-counter medicine about it. I've done food about it. I've done rest and well sleep and managed time about it. I've done yoga about it. And I've done my woman about it. All of which has had limiting and surrounding effects. So, we are brought here in the temple of my choosing to sacrifice on the altar of horror my sanity for her entertainment, which she can't even properly watch it in real time because she's doing her own stream right now. But we'll come in at some point to be a part of it again. It is at this time that I would like to remiss you to notice the pinned comment that is inside of the YouTube chat, and to get you to support via any direct means of your wallet as you can. For I will be a pained and tortured soul by the end of this stream. I'm sure to know. The reading and learning of the details from the dulcet tones of Turkey Tom will not make this easy, as there is no easy way to get through this. As always, the VsChat room is, in fact, open for those inside the Discord to watch along. And without further ado, let the torment begin.
This is Pamperchu, an individual so uniquely deranged that it's nearly impossible to list all of his eccentricities in one go. A putrid, fursuit-wearing, self-described PDF file, paranoid schizophrenic who publicly fantasizes about sniffing kids' feet and stomping on rodents. Frankly, you will be hard-pressed to find someone as twisted and deranged on the internet. But the story of Michael Givard begins with a passion for wearing diapers. Unlike many of his diaper...
He just really goes in, doesn't give you a chance to breathe, does he? Jesus fucking Christ. Just gets right into it.
This...
Just directly into it. No pause.
This is Pamperchu, an individual so uniquely deranged that it's nearly impossible to list all of his eccentricities in one go. A putrid, fursuit-wearing, self-described... Unlike many of his diaper-clad peers, Michael never made any effort to hide his proclivities, telling all of his friends about his love for diapers, even in high school. His love for the furry ABDL, meaning adult baby diaper lover, lifestyle was only intensified once he became active online. In 2008, when he was just 20, his love for the furry ABDL, meaning adult baby diaper lover...
That right there is the reason why most furries get shit, by the way. This particular type of furry subculture. This is the crinkle furs. These are the people who are responsible for the cringe behavior of all furries being seen as it is. I am so in pain with the knowledge of these people and how they behave as they do, that there is no escaping the shit that they do and how they get down to do the shit that they do. Unfortunately, because it's not me and it's someone else. The way that this information is about to be parsed to you, you're gonna get it without pauses. If I did not create pauses myself to talk at whatever length I felt to, it's much more annoying when you get deeper into it. But I don't think you really get that far. But for your own sanity,
be happy that you learned this little.
Lifestyle was only intensified once he became active online. In 2008, when he was just 20 years old, based on his own given birth date, he was already a member of a website called Daily Diapers, where he shared pictures of his pampered exploits, among many other man-made horrors beyond our comprehension found on his page, ranging from pictures of him in Pikachu-themed diapers to him in a full-body bunny suit. There are a few pictures where he can be seen sitting on the lap or laying on the chest of an old Asian man who looks like Gilbert Gottfried. While it took a while for it to be found, internet sleuths eventually found this man's page on the website FetLife. For those of you who are mentally healthy enough to not know what that is, it's a site where you share your strange interests and find like-minded individuals to engage in your hobbies with. Under the online handle AB Mike, his account showed that he was an elderly, submissive, pansexual man looking for college-aged guys who are slim, boyish, and looking to be babied. In his bio, he says, "I'm addicted to boyish charm and played daddy to some sincere, sweet, and adorable college-aged ABs and baby furs."
See, I'm using the clicker method because my voice is already tired as it is. I can feel it right here. So I'm not going to blow my voice out. Instead, just imagine every time I'm clicking that I'm having an autistic moment of a reaction that is above the level of, damn, nigga, that's crazy.
I'm a longtime infantilist. I'm not seeking casual intercourse or itching to try something new. I get turned off by adult movies. I grew up in a macho and prejudiced household. I had a crappy childhood. For every action, there's a reaction. Cartoons and comics reinforced my infantile teen baby desires. They also planted seeds of fantasies involving machine control, forced regression, being bound, and helpless. Now, as weird of a bio as this is on its own, it's not as disturbing as his actual list, which includes items such as in your diaper for daddy, ankles and wrists bound while I'm in a high chair, humping him while he's in a diaper, and showing my diaper waddle while in a onesie. Look, I'm trying not to judge here, but I'm just gonna give up. It's getting hard. In any event, one of AB Mike's college-aged ABs...
That's a lot of diapers, bro. Being responsible for the care of a child that is using diapers still, I am infinitely aware of exactly how much money that is. I could afford groceries for 3 months with that.
Was Michael, who, according to his Daily Diapers page,
Multiplayer keeps breaking!
Daily Diapers, bro. Age played as a 5-year-old. Now, 5 is kind of late to be in diapers if you're keeping track, but I'm not really expecting too much logic from this crowd. However,
the question is, how the fuck did he develop this fetish and where did he get it from? Because the first people I'm looking at is your mama and your daddy. Which one of your niggas touched him? It was one or the other. Either his friends told him about it, they thought it was funny, and they just ran with it, or one of y'all touched him. Which one of your parents touched him? Fucking...
however bold Michael was
And I'm not able to pause that way.
with his
Let's not cook like this.
his online presence
Yeah, that's fine.
remained limited to other people in the ABDL community, at least until the creation of his YouTube channel called Pamperchu. In September, he posted a video of himself in his bunny onesie. This is one of the first videos that got some traction. After all, it's not every day you see a grown man frolicking like a toddler while in a bunny costume, and frankly, the serial killer home video vibe doesn't do him any favors. Now, due to how unusual his attire and behavior obviously was, a brief clip of his video was featured on a piece of news about furries by G4 TV, as in on actual television. This was way before there were things like lolcow culture or even cringe compilations, when the closest things people had to that was like disorganized chatter about Jesse Slaughter or Chris Chan on various websites and forums. And
I would argue that from these things that people are using,
disorganized,
especially some of the things there in the cringe compilation, because I recognize that shot. That's your boy, Bonesaw, from ADQ 2013. Because cringe compilations were an entirely different view sphere, right? And now if you want a cringe compilation, just go through the just chatting section of Twitch. Hi, Grace. You can't really do any do any worse damage than already exists there, bro. Like it just is what it is, okay? It just is what it is.
Culture or even cringe compilations, when the closest things people had to that was like disorganized chatter about Jesse Slaughter or Chris Chan on various websites and forums. And because of that, Pamperchu didn't have the opportunity to fast track his way to web celebrity via ridicule, and he only amassed a small following of people who were genuinely amazed by his bizarre predilections. But like the trailblazer he was, he persisted, dropping gems like Day at the Park with My Daddy, which showed him playing around like a little kid in an empty park, while someone I assume is Mike records him and tells him what to do as if he were his dad. Due to how unintentionally disturbing this content was, it often got taken down for community guidelines. And this was in 2010, before any adpocalypse happened. So you know he was really pushing the envelope for YouTube's terms of service back then. But you may be asking, how? Well, in one video he backed up on a Vimeo account, Michael proved he wasn't an AB poser by not only peeing in his diapers, but also scavenging the trash for used diapers so that he could microwave them and wear them. He also
We're already up to 13. I would have blown my voice out at this point. Fuck.
talked about going to the bathroom on his stuffed animals, and then doing things with the stuffed animals, and also secretly wearing diapers in public, which is somehow the least disturbing thing in this list.
Eye roll. This is the point at which cringe actually is created from a person's online antics and behaviors. What you choose to do in the privacy of your home doesn't concern me, and doesn't concern anyone else. The moment you make me aware of it, you are forcing me to be engaged in a cycle that I do not want to be involved in. And when you force that interaction in that way, outside of those contexts, you are creating an unnecessary, unfair flirtation with what rules and boundaries and acceptability of those boundaries are. Instead, make everyone victimized by your shit. Period. Because this is why we say that we do not want big gay activists involving themselves in the actions of children before they are aware and can have the ability to say no. Because they're using authority to gain trust in the system. Fucking disgusting. Again, which one of his parents touched him? Scale from 1 to 10, how disturbing is it you're not surprised that someone actually felt comfortable putting this on the internet? Putting it on the internet is not the problem. It's whether or not you feel comfortable listening to it, mentally thinking about it a lot.
Now, a good portion of this video is just spent on Michael pontificating on the joys of having his
I needed a second to mentally regain my sanity.
private parts come into contact with real excrement from a dumpster. I would be getting concerned about the health implications of doing this, but Then again, if you're doing this, I think getting a UTI is the least of your concerns.
I mean, considering the fact that he just admitted that he's taking used diapers that have biological biohazardous material and hotboxing it in a fucking microwave oven, the fucking smell of urea is the worst and least of your concerns at the same time. Anybody want to get mustard gas? Because that's a nice way to get mustard gas. Stale urine creates urea, then refined creates a form of gas that you cannot inhale. There's a reason why chemical hoods exist inside of alchemy labs. I'm not comfortable with this information.
As he posted more wonderful pictures of him engaging in some AB action, one stood out among the others. Michael in some kind of hazmat suit with blue latex gloves on. As it turns out, this was just one out of a set of photos of Michael at his workplace. While it's a mystery where exactly he worked, in the description of one of his videos from a couple of years later, he claimed to work as an acoustic engineer at a sound company. It's pretty unlikely he was lying about this, since long before that, he already had dozens of videos up on his channel where he showed the antique electronics he recovered and fixed, and it was extremely
Take your time, just a girl. You're not going to miss a lot.
clear he had in-depth knowledge of them. It's only fitting for an adult baby furry, or whatever, who's obsessed with electronics to work with acoustics, seeing as he
Once again, proving the example that people continue to try to avoid, like the narrative is not the best. Suspiciously wealthy furries are the ones that have the money to indulge themselves in these kind of fucking fetishes.
he's probably acoustic himself. It's also worth noting that his knack for recovering ancient electronic stuff and his passion for wearing used diapers began to dovetail, as in a set of forum posts, he revealed that the microwave he used to heat them up, them being the diapers, is a radar range from 1971, which happens to be featured on the official Wikipedia page for the microwave oven. What a collectible item to own, were it not for the loaded diaper inside of it. By the way, in these same posts, all of his fellow ABDLs
Yes, used diapers of his own and used diapers he fishes out of garbage disposal. Don't worry, don't worry, Grace. I'm gonna click it extra for you.
were warning users against going dumpster diving for loaded diapers, to which Michael said, "I have saved wet diapers from dumpsters for over 10 years and I've never been sick. I love the smell of old diapers and love getting them for free out of the garbage. You can microwave them really hot and kill off any bacteria and germs, then let them cool down before wearing them, or you will burn yourself. If someone wants to play with used diapers, they should be able to without everyone telling them how dangerous or gross it is. I know it can make you sick, but you know what? I've never gotten sick from it." You know you're going too far when other furries who like to wear diapers are telling you that you're gross. It's really strange because most of the electronics he repaired are so old that the parts for them aren't even produced anymore, meaning you have to be particularly smart and creative to get them working again. Yet somehow all of that intellect doesn't translate over to, I don't know, not wearing wet diapers. It's really jarring how his channel would interchangeably upload videos about vintage cell phones and his 8-inch floppy, the storage device, not the other thing, to then posting videos about Chinese diapers and splat mats. Part of his
Yak. For anybody who's concerned thinking, Carl, are you okay? You seem low energy. It's a fact of the matter that the coffee that's in my system is slowly working its way out. And I'm working slowly towards a crash. But the lack of energy is because I'm saving my voice. I don't want to have to make a pinned note about it because I already have a pinned comment on YouTube for donations for those who wish to do so. That is what the counter is for. Why do I unpause when I'm getting ready to take a bite? Because I explicitly wanted to make sure you were disgusted. Wahahahahahaha.
His initial appeal is precisely because of how many people got into his content through his regular videos, only to suddenly have it sprung on them that the tech-savvy sleuth they're watching likes to pretend to be a baby. It's around this time that we get introduced to another character in Michael's story, Marley, a middle-aged gay man whose FetLife bio
Every time! Every time! Who's bumming that ghetto blaster on my block? Please tell me that's not my next door neighbor. Whoever it was finally passed on.
reads, "There's nothing better than changing a boy's diaper. A man of refined taste, a connoisseur of the fine arts, who just happened
Ew. Make me sick the word connoisseur.
to be into age play, baby fur, bondage, yiffing, the humiliation, and last but not least, filling his hole. Every single day, we stray further from God." Eventually, Michael followed in the footsteps of his elders and also made himself a fat life, updating his new roleplay age as 4 years old and opening his bio with, "Do you know where your kids are? I do," while the interest section has only been saved in
And an extra click for the where your kids I do bit.
very low resolution. We can make out here that he's listed himself as being into ammonia diaper smell, burning diapers, crush, filling my diaper at Toys R Us, feet, and a bunch of other stuff. One notable one being rats and mice living in the landfill. I'm currently still getting over what happened to the mice in the Zooier Than Thou video, so that last item is particularly triggering for me personally. He even added a new tentative item to his list, inflation, which is also reflected in some of his pictures from around this time. While he had already been quite active in the community up until this point, it's during this period that he really hit a stride, with consistently attracting new hate watchers by posting increasingly disgusting content to his online channels. For example, it's at this point that his Vimeo account got renamed to Squish Rat, as he repurposed it to exclusively him posting videos of himself squashing wet diapers. But as he rose in popularity and made the rounds in ABDL meetups and furry conventions, privately, Michael was suffering from cancer, which led many people to wish harm or even death upon him. But as daunting as his cancer may seem, he was quite confident that it wasn't life-threatening, as not only was he already undergoing chemotherapy, the specific kind of cancer he had was Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is highly treatable and curable, with more than 4/5 of all patients seeing complete recovery. And with him being a young, healthy, well, hypothetically physically healthy man with no comorbidities, it meant it was a virtual certainty that he was going to survive. Despite his health situation seeing him go in and out of the hospital during this period, it really did nothing to stop or even slow his diaper-centric activities. If anything, it seems like the prospect of death looming over him only inspired him to enjoy his time on this earth even more intensely. As he
No, you shouldn't. You should be forced to. You should be shamed for this kind of action. Fucking God Almighty. What kind of debaucherous levels of abuse has to happen to make a kink like this?
frequently posted to the Daily Diapers forum, saying things like, "I want to dig down a little and find some old plastic diapers that have been buried for 10 to 20 years. Would be so fun to put on a hazmat suit and crawl around in these stinky piles of garbage. This smell is half the fun." What a wordsmith. His posting history includes his opinion on what kind of poo is the best, which in his estimation is the smelly kind, and he also adds that he's now making a great diaper pail in his room so that he can constantly smell diapers and just have them there so he can squish them with his feet to make them burst. I hope you're
Nigga, ew.
eating while watching this video, by the way, so you suffer as much as I'm
Ha 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 ha! He's talking about you, Pip. Ha 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 ha!
suffering right now. Now, every once in a while, Michael would drop vague hints at the root of his love for diapers, such as him identifying with another user in the DD forum who was speaking about how him having intercourse with an inflatable pool toy as a kid led him to the AB.
Oh, there it is. Unsupervised child fucked an inflatable toy, and then he became a fur boy. It's always the whites.
DL lifestyle. In another post, he mentions that he wetted his bed well after he had already turned 10 years old, only stopping once he was 11. Now, this may seem trivial or it may seem strange, and frankly, that's all there would be to it, if not for the fact that late bedwetting does have some correlation with being harmed as a child. Although at this point in time, Michael made no mention of it. As a matter of fact, it seems like he deliberately avoided, or alternatively, didn't seem capable of, being candid and personal, preferring instead to harp on his ABDL exploits. For example, he proudly announces that he's begun to lose control of his bowel movements due to wearing diapers for 10 years, and adds that he doesn't worry about leaking, and in his words, just lets it overflow onto his clothes. In a different way than other diaper guys, Michael seems to really enjoy the public embarrassment aspect of all of this, purposely going into pools while wearing diapers. While it's mostly relegated to being a side attraction, Michael was still very much a furry, posting about maintaining his 6-year-old fursuit named Sandy Wolf, and once again revealing he purposely leaks all over his plushies during the night. A highlight from his...
What did you just walk into? You walked into horror's that's a present for me. That's what you walked into. Tapping the sign.
Epic is this picture, titled Messy Punishment. As we can see here, the caption reads, "Punishment for using my diaper. Forced to smell brother's feet as he spreads my mess all over." And I have nothing...
And because I don't want to blow my voice out from how many reactions I'd be giving, in lieu of yelling, I'm clicking the clicker button on my clicker.
more to say about this. I really have nothing more to say. As previously established, Michael was testing the limits of tolerance even among his fellow ABDLs and furries, and slowly, signs that there was something more malicious underneath began to surface. For example, in 2016, this picture of Michael with a man at the Furlandia convention was scrutinized, because, as it turns out, this man is known as Evil Saib, someone who had been so vile he'd gotten himself banned from multiple furry conventions. But what did he do? Well, as far as his furry-related deeds go, he conducted DDoS attacks on furry sites he had a grudge against, organized a massive furry art pirating network, violated his FurCon bans to the point where they had to get restraining orders to prevent him from reattending, ran the r/gif subreddit, threatened to sue furry websites that documented his actions in a way he considered slanderous, and lastly, uploaded this masterpiece.
All the single furries, 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 all the single furries. Now put your paws up.
If this isn't hair-whiteningly horrific enough for you yet, don't worry. Those are just his furry-related deeds, as he has his own personal set of completely unrelated crimes against humanity. In the early 2000s, Saib was arrested on 2 counts of coercion, 1 count of assault in the 4th degree, 1 count of harassment, and 1 count of unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. But to be completely honest, this legalese does not do the incident behind it justice. What actually happened is a bit hard to understand as far as what caused it in the first place, but based on a post made in a furry Google group, Saib's roommate Brian didn't want to take him to a gay bar on St. Patrick's Day, prompting Saib to jump on him and forcefully tickle Brian. Brian, after multiple attempts to get Saib off him, kneed Sai on his back. The post goes as follows. In return, Saib beat him, forced him into a shower, doused him with very cold water, shoved a water hose up his ass, dragged him out, made him stand at attention like a drill sergeant, then put him on the ground, pissed on him, and then tried to poop on him. And then there's a note that reads, Saib has this thing about doing that to people without warning, since he thinks everyone is his personal litter box. He then threatens to beat him some more if he didn't give over his PIN number for his ATM card, broke bottles all over the guy's apartment to keep him from escaping, and took his car keys, and then told him that if he called the cops, he would make Brian disappear. Now, it's not included in this specific post, but along with the PIN number, Saib took Brian's car keys and stole his car. According to the post, Saib and his friends went on to claim that all of this was somehow done in self-defense, or alternatively, that this was payback for Brian making Saib his slave. The poster adds that Saib was
Ew.
lucky that a sexual assault charge wasn't included because apparently Saib had a history with that kind of thing, as there were 4 other police reports on him, 3 of them regarding rape, and 1 of them from a father reporting that Saib apparently engaged with his daughter inappropriately. Unfortunately for the safety of all people in the Western civilization, he somehow got off with 3 years of probation. It's not mentioned in the post describing the incident itself, but in the case records, the confiscation of a shotgun is also mentioned, although I'm not sure if that means it was used in the incident or if it's just a firearm that Saib lost the right to possess due to his crimes.
It doesn't really matter which one. It's getting 3 clicks.
Unsurprisingly, this slap on the wrist did nothing to curb Saib's behavior. And despite one of the probation requirements being that Saib didn't contact Brian, he apparently continued to harass him online, although it's uncertain if this had any consequences. After his probation period ended, he went right back to doing the same things. In 2011, he was arrested for misconduct, endangering the welfare of a minor, reckless endangerment, SA, and contributing to the sexual delinquency of a minor. When confronted about it on Twitter, he said, "I screwed a 17-year-old who said he was 18 online and got busted smoking weed with her in a car." Given how much the incident with Brian was radically downplayed, we can only assume that this story is also Saib doing his best to minimize his crimes, and even then, it's not enough to really save him. Worse yet is the fact that in another tweet he made replying to someone who said that the girl was actually 15, he said, "15? I never admitted that. She was way younger than 15. Now, he could be saying this in a tongue-in-cheek manner, and the girl was actually 17 as he'd initially claimed, but when you've been convicted of being inappropriate with a minor, do you really get to say this kind of thing without people reasonably assuming you're just being sincere? The cherry on top of all of this is that, besides being a felonious child-predating ABDL baby fur, Saib is heavily against any laws that compel people with HIV to disclose it to their partners, because, of course, he has a...
Of course. Why would he be normal and be like, you know what, I want people to be safe about STDs? Nah. Fucking viral load that shit. Pause him up. Pause them up good and nice. Make sure they get that good soaking from the diapers.
Now, I'm not deep enough into the lore to know if he already had AIDS by the time he did what he did to Brian, but if he did, that makes all of that situation twice as terrifying.
Truly pausing.
Knowing that not only could those horrible things happen to you, but you might suffer with a deadly condition for the rest of your life, all because you didn't want to take your furry roommate to a gay bar. Unsurprisingly, Saib earned himself his own Kiwi Farms thread, though severely underdeveloped as of right now, already contains a testimony from someone who claims that Saib tried to get them naked on camera for him when they were just 15 years old, and Saib was in his mid to late 30s. Additionally, the thread contains proof that he is a self-admitted zoophile, but is that really surprising at this point? Now, all of this is to establish that Saib wasn't just some guy with a checkered history, but instead a known and confirmed offender and widely recognized as the ultimate arch nemesis of the furry community for well over a decade. Yet, Michael saw fit to take a friendly picture with him. This lack of concern for how even his own community perceived him indicated that maybe Michael had a darker side to him that others hadn't been privy to. Since early 2014, Michael's videos attracted a fair share of scrutiny to a certain website that he used to purchase his diapers, qualitydiapers.net, due to its alleged association with an outright illegal content website that sold plenty of illegal pictures. Now, very few people knew about this at the time, but eventually, one KF user named Throwaway9503 made a comprehensive post covering this issue. Basically, qualitydiapers.com was extremely similar to another website which also sold catalogs of boys wearing diapers. However, this other website also included racier pictures, many of which constituted illegal content. At first, Quality Diapers seemed like exactly the same kind of thing.
Fresh and cream. Thank you, Just a Girl.
Business, a thinly veiled front for legal activities involved in the sale of illegal videos. It's also mentioned in the post that the diapers are unusually cheap, but that there's a $60 price tag on unspecified paywall content, which probably is where you would find what the website was actually set up to sell. Fortunately, it does seem like neither site is archived or up anymore, but knowing how these things work, they're probably doing the same thing under a different name right now. While
it's probably the kind of direct work that is done for the Wayfair child trafficking allegation scam. Have a priced item that is way, way, way too high over the MSRP. It has weird titlings that have names that are similar to that of people, and you're effectively gambling on the bodies that you're supposed to be buying as the trophy. Except this is using the roundabout methodology of having it. However the shows go about this is going to dictate how any show is going to work off this system. And it's going to be very stupid, very dumb, and very weird. Why are we still here, just to suffer? Yes, we're here to suffer. This is horror's doing. That's why I'm gobsmacked speechless. For reasons that are better than screaming over 97 times and blowing my voice out. 98 to be exact.
this, it doesn't seem like he ever cared to look into it in the first place. Given his association with people like Saib, it was clear that he didn't mind being around or doing business with that sort of people. It's after these things come to light that we see a sharp change in Michael's behavior online. In one YouTube comment exchange, he can be seen saying that he's now in a polyamorous relationship with 3 other men. Around the same time, his profile on a site called plush.yef, which was dedicated to people interested in...
And all we know is a man loves a man, a man loves a man, a man loves a man. I'm saying all we know is that a man loves a man loves a man with a man in a man's butt. Man loves a man with a man loves a man.
Engaging in relations with plushies was unearthed. They also found his Flickr page, which contained entire albums of absolutely revolting pictures of 5-year-old rotting diapers, as well as one folder titled Plushie Love.
I appreciate your reasoning to not tell people or show people the pictures of the rotting 5-year-old diapers, but you still mention them. So, rip people who wanted to have dinner. I'm glad I'm not going to be able to have anything lighter than a fucking block of cheese. No, they did not tell them that he had HIV.
An evil 7 mold growing on these things.
He wants that plushy love. He's a Where's that song? Where at? Certainly there's a version of it. Do they just have the one with the goddamn thing? Yeah. Like gotta make sure to add that to a fucking soundboard when I get one in the future.
I feel like we need some kind of government intervention. I know Trump is president now. Not to say that I love him, but if he could get involved in something here, he would have my vote. In early August of 2019, YouTube channel Deadwing Dork posted a video about Pamperchu, which got to over 1 million
Yeah, boy!
views and introduced a much wider audience to Michael's exploits. Over time, people got to wondering how Michael was paying for all of this stuff, because while he evidently did have a lot of marketable skills, it didn't seem like his employment status was stable. I mean, getting jobs of any kind must be hard when you're diaper waddling and overflowing on the reg. As it turns out, he'd been mining Bitcoin since 2013, and one KF user estimated he could be sitting on anywhere between 5 to 10 Bitcoins by mid-2018. And that's only if he started in 2013. If he started earlier than that, it could be a lot more. For context, one single Bitcoin is currently valued at over $100,000. While it's unlikely that he has millions of dollars, it did seem like he had enough money to not worry about getting work and enjoy a lot of free time. And what does he do with all of that free time? Well, besides more videos where he's burning diapers and having diapers put on him by his roommate, it turned out that during this entire time, Michael was actually suffering from serious where he's burning diapers and having diapers put on him by his roommate. It turned out that during this entire
How would another man put you in a diaper? Another man touching your body and putting you in a diaper. Ah! I pooped.
time, Michael was actually suffering from serious substance abuse issues.
But I didn't start drinking until I ran out of what I have been taking pretty much my whole life. So I'm not going to use the words of the actual drug, but one makes you a tweaker and one makes you a heroin addict.
He immediately clarifies that he's talking about pills here and not any other kind of substance, which may lead you to think that he just ran out of his prescriptions. However, soon after, he adds that he got them from his Connect, meaning that this unnamed person was the one who actually had gotten those pills prescribed to them, not Michael. Based on his description of these pills, he's most likely talking about ADHD medications like Adderall and opioid pain meds like oxycodone, given how commonly those drugs are prescribed to people. Michael's explanation is that in the absence of those two unspecified drugs, he turned to alcohol to soothe whatever it was that he was medicating away in the first place. This video is particularly
Oh, so he drinks too. Delectable. Scrumptious. Wonderful. Lovely.
usual, even by his standards to say the least. His bedroom looks disgusting and disheveled, he sounds wired up and is visibly jittery, and at one point he even starts becoming emotional, which is very much unlike him.
But that's what they keep saying. You know, doctors are like, oh, you can't have, oh, because you'll kill yourself or you'll overdose or whatever. You know what? I went through cancer. I went through a lot of things. I'm not gonna kill myself with drugs. It's pissing me off. Two things that work for me. Something that wakes you up, and something that makes your pain go away.
Earlier in the video, he mentions not having taken morphine for a long time at that point, and based on how he's behaving, it's clear that he's badly addicted to the substances he's now off of and suffering from withdrawals. But I think there's something deeper here. Michael is autistic, as per his own admission, which hardly comes as a surprise given his obsession with antique electronics and, well, no offense, but the furry diaper stuff. However, one other common aspect of autism is the difficulty in...
I told you, it's not being numb. I'm not blowing my voice out over this. That's why I have the clicker. I would have been yelling over 109 times so far. It's not a matter of being numb. This was a Route 44 of iced vanilla coffee. I drank this like last night, doing yet another secret recording project session with Jay, of which you will see at some point in the future. Along with the fact that because of what I've been spending my time doing today, I'm already at a point of punk drunk delirious. But I've already looped around the part from sanity. Now I'm just where I'm floating in a void of my excrement, my mental excrement. So I would be deliriously yelling like a hollering banshee. And to save my voice and also not annoy the audience, for a method more succinct and pungent than yelling at the top of my lungs, clicker. Bad choice of words, which one? Exigent? Mental excrement? That was deliberate. Or was it? Who knows? Really bad choice of words. You got to say which ones! Using your lectures on business, mainly the contract law, to drone it out. It's in there. You can't get away from it. You can't get away from Pamperchu. We will be forced to learn. Horror has deigned to be so. It is my penitence. It is the cringe that is unbroken, unspoken, diapers in isolation.
in expressing more complicated emotions, especially if they're negative. If regular people can bottle up their emotions and turn to drugs to remedy their feelings, it only makes sense that someone with Michael's cocktail of conditions is much more likely to do so. It's also interesting to note that he mentions his cancer as one of the things he's already gone through, but at no point does he say that the opioid he's taking is for any cancer-related pain. At the very same moment, he mentions that he's gone through a lot more than cancer, but doesn't name anything in specific, which is indicative that whatever pain he feels is probably psychological, not physical. Besides his self-induced loose bowels, Michael seems perfectly physically capable, so one has to wonder, what's the cause of this pain if not physical? The answer, especially when you factor in that he's so developmentally arrested that he wears diapers and sleeps in a cradle, is quite obvious, although it's not explicitly stated by Michael himself, at least not yet. For the rest of the video, whenever he approaches the topic of his need for substances and his pain,
She doesn't. She uses the same trap that any of us have. The ability to earn money for a livelihood. And her own entertainment. It's like the monkey with the fucking hand, with his hand in the goddamn tree getting the honey.
he immediately sidetracks to talk about his most recent gigs, fixing expensive antique video games, and his master's degree in electrical engineering, all while he...
Now imagine if you just spent your time doing that on the internet. You were just a humble, gay, furry, autistic person that loved to repair things like old Game Boys and Game Gears and Galaga arcade machines.
drinks a beer, and frantically paces around his room. Interestingly enough, this video is quite reminiscent of the Alan Tutorial ARG, which happens to be about a developmentally arrested autistic guy who records himself in first person doing creative projects in his bedroom and occasionally cries about some past trauma that he can't bring himself to talk about, all while he slowly spirals into complete insanity. One of the biggest pieces of the Pamperchu puzzle is how he can be so comfortable and never even get defensive about his strange lifestyle. But one of the major reasons for that is that the ADDL stuff, as well as his electronics acumen, are both covers for something darker that he doesn't actually want to face. Soon after, more facets of this darker thing begin to show. He uploaded a video that almost immediately went down and took his entire YouTube channel down with it.
You got into a mechanical technician class. Good job, struggler. Hope that works out.
Due to the fact that it included several violations of the YouTube terms of service. Fortunately, we do have an archived audio version, and it shows just how badly Michael was doing at this point. For starters, the video appears to be titled Why I Like Children, and right in the beginning, he hits us with this.
So right now, I'm hearing voices, so I put these things on my head. I put them on my head, and they kind of help. I also like holding my children, or my pretend children anyway.
Now, this is extremely concerning. His penchant for alcohol alone wouldn't be able to give him auditory hallucinations, which immediately begs the question of whether he was doing something else. He had previously alluded to smoking weed, but the likelihood that he developed schizophrenia as a consequence of that is very low, even if there is a correlation between the two in some young men. So while weed could potentially have something to do with it, since he was looking for new depressants due to his bad relationship with alcohol, it's much more likely that these hallucinations were caused by a stimulant, like meth, since the kind of...
No, it's less likely that it was a stimulation from meth and more to do with his constant dosing of the conditions that come from high steaming diapers, wearing them, and then being around the excrement of it. Pinworms, brain worms, blood worms, blood diseases, and just general delirium. See, then you do that, it gives you diarrhea. He was shitting out his brains hard. Shit everywhere, on the walls, in the halls, on his feet. Oh.
of psychosis it can cause.
I'm not joking. If you've ever smelt ammonia, or you've ever had to had the instance of following behind a person who didn't flush the fucking toilet, urine contains urea. It's like dosing yourself with smelling salts that make you vomit. Constantly do that long enough, and anything that proliferates and festers inside of filth will become an infectant to your body. The fact that he was hotbox steaming it by nuking it in a microwave, just creating refined raw urea, certainly doesn't help whatever conditions help his sexual health and dysfunction. Then he's wearing it on parts of his body that are exposed, actively engaging what we can only assume is sexual contact and behavior with other gay men, especially with conditions that expose him unto the autoimmune disease. Then he becomes proxy to everything else. He is more than likely experiencing delusional behavior from the loss of his essential salts, water, and other biological necessary vitamins for his body. combined with any other disgusting side effects of drinking too much, then having blood alcohol poisoning, and then vomiting. It's like a combo 1-2-3 punch.
Closely resembles paranoid schizophrenia. Michael's definitely smart enough to realize how similar the substance can be to Adderall. Given he's already talked about having people who give him drugs, it's not all that far-fetched that he got himself some in his desperate attempts to fill the gap left by the pills he used to abuse. Within a minute of his admission of having hallucinations, he starts talking about how his Chuck E. Cheese doll, the child he's referring to in the audio I played earlier, won't eat McDonald's cheese because it's cheap and of poor quality. Unlike the many other instances of Michael interacting with his plushies that seem slightly self-aware, Michael seems like he genuinely believed his Chuck E. Cheese doll was real. And as disturbing as this audio already was, after the 2-minute mark, it takes an absolute nosedive.
Doesn't matter what my children are, I just love them. But right now, I'm craving children. Like, I really...
Every time. Like clockwork.
want a child. But I know I can't have that in my life right now, so I have stuffed animals. I have little Chucky, he's in a vintage diaper.
And boom goes the dynamite. The reason why we do not let pedophiles have just look-alike stuff that is in a degree more tenable and more plausible as objects that are replacements for the thing they want. He was fiending for it. He needed it. He needed it. Every time.
Which is all soaked and dirty, because I kind of like that.
Remember, he's confirmed to have a profile on a website.
He likes some nice and dirty. Nice and dirty.
People who like their plushies a little too much. So this sounds particularly absurd. After talking about his children, Michael mentions someone named Steve and says that he's his adult. Soon after, it becomes clear that he's referring to the same rat doll he frequently interacts with in his video about his alcoholism. The odd thing is that it seems like the rat doll is actually a surrogate for a real person, as he mentions Steve brought him in, but then immediately diverts the topic to something else. A minute later, he goes back to explaining his fantasies.
I have a lot of friends who wear diapers when in their older age, but I guess I should just say now, I mean, it's not in the same way you might like it, but it's a parenting feeling. It's something you got.
It's a parenting feeling, you see. It's a parenting feeling. I do 2 more for myself, and 1 for Star.
It's really difficult to talk about. Well, did your dad or mom ever smoke next to you? I mean, I smoke next to Chucky. I know it's kind of going away as a fad, but I drive my kid in my car, which would kill you if you got in a car wreck. You know, it's kind of like that.
This is a sentiment he reiterates a few times elsewhere in the audio, and whenever he brings it up, he always prefaces it with, "This is hard to say." It's hard to gauge what exactly he's trying to get at, but it eventually becomes clearer. It's at this point that it's heavily suggested that Michael's entire infatuation with ABDL comes from not being properly taken care of as a kid, leading to him recreating his childhood in the same way he wished that it had happened. He makes sure to stay vague about it, and whenever he comes close to the topic, he gets audibly choked up and starts vocally stimming. Eventually, Michael manages to bring himself to say what the point of making this video was, and he comes clean.
I hope my audience's understanding of these predicaments. I've been watching Martha Speaks, by the way. You already know the word I'm talking about, but I'm one of those, and I would never hurt a child. I would never have sex with a child.
He admits he's a pedophile.
No, I'm a different type of one of those. I won't ever hurt a child in my life. Never. Never, ever. But you know what? I am one. So look around you. In my dreams, a child came floating up, and all I wanted to do is hug him. Make sure he wasn't sick. He was coughing really bad. So, I want you to know that they are all around you. And this is a really, really harder video to do than the drinking video. So I am one.
This is very grim, to say the least, but pairing it with every other thing that led up to this point, it's hardly surprising. What's interesting is that while basically acknowledging himself as one of them, the example he repeatedly gives is his dream, where a child floats to him and he rubs their back, along with the strong wish to keep children safe and take care of them. By themselves, these descriptions don't quite fit the bill for what he's calling himself here. Now, if I were to play an inordinate amount of devil's advocate, if he truly has other worse fantasies that he simply opted not to provide, it would make sense for him to suffer from POCD, a condition in which typically people who suffer that kind of abuse in their childhood obsessively think that they too are PDF files. But the safest thing to assume by far is that he actually is a PDF file. What's even more concerning is that he emphasizes that everyone he's friends with are also PDF files, or at the very least, are okay with it. Whatever that...
Every time. More details. We haven't lost our lunch enough.
could possibly mean, since I don't think you can really be okay with that without being one yourself. Despite how predictable it may seem from where we stand, the few followers of Pamperchu who got wind of this before it got taken down took this news like a gut punch. However, some of them, and probably his friends that he mentioned in the video, excused the things he said, saying that they loved him despite his flaws. After this, he went silent for some time, prompting some to speculate that he might have gone away for good, whether because he no longer wanted to be seen online or because his family committed him to a mental health institution. But as it turns out, neither of those happened, and in September, he was spotted at the Furlandia convention dressed up like a rat. 1 month later, he came back to YouTube with a new channel as if nothing had ever happened. If anything, he was
Furlandia.
videos titled "I'm a Glitch Mouse," having him throwing a dead mouse at the camera. Other highlights include a pair of videos where he can be seen dehydrating and actually cooking a diaper by straight up electrocuting it until it melted, something that even his peers saw as a clear sign for his disregard for his own life and safety. As he conducted Dr. Frankenstein-tier horror movie experiments, his house deteriorated, falling into disrepair and being subjected to his hoarding tendencies. His behavior was becoming increasingly erratic, and at one point, people noticed that there were a few items in his house that looked like quartz inserts one would use to smoke out of a rig, which further supported the meth theory I mentioned earlier. One commenter in specific claimed that Michael had recently mentioned mainlining, which is a term for injecting substances. This is even more concerning than the smoking rig hypothesis, as the danger of overdosing, among other things, tends to be a lot greater when injecting. Of course, we're splitting hairs here. He shouldn't be doing any of these in the first place, as he clearly has serious mental health problems that are compounded by his abuse. As time went on, he only became more and more deranged. His speech patterns became increasingly slurred and frantic, and his videos, well...
Hello everyone, this is Pamperchu. Today, I'm going to teach you how to flush a diaper down the toilet.
What might be even crazier is the fact that in the comments, someone said, "This causes thousands of dollars of damage to plumbing systems and repairs and unblocking. Can't believe what I'm seeing." To which Michael said, "Do you work for American Standard Toilets? I would like to know why you are looking up diaper videos. Also, it's a federal offense to impersonate someone from an organization you don't work for. Be careful with your wording, boy pup." Now, I'm no legal eagle, but I'm pretty sure there's no stolen valor for plumbers, and you're not violating federal law by claiming you are one in the YouTube comments. It's also worth noting that, unlike the overall polite tone that his videos have, Pamperchu's comments often get quite aggressive, which led some people to speculate that the person running this channel could be someone else and not Michael himself. But there's no confirmation of that. However, soon after this, it was revealed that Michael had been arrested for criminal mischief of the second degree, which appears to mean property damages running as low as $500. Somehow, videos continued to go up without issue on his YouTube channel, meaning he'd either schedule them to go up, which is unlikely, or indeed, one of the people he was living with at the time was operating his channel for him. While he remained in custody, whoever was running his channel uploaded a video of him burning diapers for warmth, followed by a video of him power walking in a supermarket with a loaded diaper on. Shout out Roderick. In the meantime, it's unknown who was behind these uploads, but eventually he came back and made a new video himself, addressing the arrest, showing his inmate ID, and explaining that he was taken in for supposedly smashing some plates and clogging the toilet, an accusation that he suggests was levied by someone who was living with him. With this minor domestic dispute out of the way, we can now go back to regularly scheduled programming. Michael is once again hearing voices.
The voices in my head are pretty strong this morning. It started around 6:45. Anyway, watching NASA TV. No more all night.
Strangely, after bringing this up, he opts instead to spend a couple of minutes of this relatively short video covering random minutia out of his day, like him eating an entire pack of 30-something sausages. Ladies and gentlemen, the bulk has never
That's just nasty and a waste of food.
been more back than it is right now. The winter arc is back! The winter arc! Eventually, he circles back to the topic of the video.
Anyway, yeah, voices in my head knocked me all night. Actually, no, just a couple hours. But it's really annoying. And so I thought I'd sit outside, and I saw the anomaly. It's just first mentioning it in the morning.
Again, after mentioning it, he changes the subject, and this time never comes back. Interestingly, he never mentions what the voices are saying, or even who the voices are, as he deliberately obfuscates and avoids elaborating on what he's going through. Just as the frequency of his auditory hallucinations was increasing, and his mental health was seemingly declining, Michael announced that he was moving out to a different place, presumably because of the issues he was having with his previous roommates. Despite this announcement being paired with the title New Beginnings, it seemed like not that much had changed, since he continued to enjoy the fragrant aroma of burning diapers in his fireplace. In a spat he had with someone in the comments about this habit of his, he randomly dropped the fun fact that he had once been fisted, which is actually surprising to learn here because he listed himself as asexual on
Ew.
that life, so not sure what that's about, but it did happen. It turned out that Michael had actually moved back in with his parents, which all in all is probably better than him living alone. Between the
Ha 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 ha.
people he surrounds himself with, and the people he engages in illicit activities with, and the screwed up electrical inventions he puts together, it's probably good for him to share his living space with people who presumably can rein him in and ensure he doesn't blow the house up. In not so good news, he was now living with a dog who I'm dearly hoping he wasn't doing anything to. Meanwhile, the speculation as to what drugs he was on continued to evolve, as now some people were suggesting that instead of doing a stimulant or a depressant, he was actually doing both at the same time. This is commonly referred to by some people as speedballing, which here would be a mixture of meth and heroin, which, although yielding a very strong effect, is also extremely dangerous. Finally, in mid-April, a strange edited video went up on the Pamperchu channel that revealed the other person who was helping Michael out with his videos. Rebel Foxy. Apparently, there were 2 other videos in which the connection was explained, but they're now privated or deleted. In a YouTube comment exchange, Foxy can be seen agreeing with someone who was saying that Michael needs help, but that he's better off now that he lives with his parents. Upon first glance, it may seem like Foxy could be a potentially good influence on Michael, but immediately after, it turns out that he's equally, if not even more messed up. KF users immediately came up with a video of Foxy having audible diarrhea in his diaper, which I won't play here for the safety and welfare of your soul.
Would you describe it to me?
But on his YouTube channel, Foxy posted censored videos of himself having his diaper changed by his, in his words, his daddy, and in the description, he redirected people to his Patreon where the uncensored versions were being uploaded. By the way, I should have all of this while doing a baby voice, which makes all of it that much more vile. As people became increasingly familiar with Foxy, he revealed that Michael had now gone into rehab, and that he had taken control of the channel in his absence, which only brought him even more scrutiny. The rest of 2020 marks a drought of new Pamperchu content, as we only get a new picture of him every once in a while, although we did get a 4-minute video consisting exclusively of his gnarly ass feet. It would take until the beginning of 2021 for him to officially resurface, as he was contacted by a KF user through Telegram and confirmed his identity with a selfie. Interestingly enough, people immediately noticed that Michael had an icon for the core browser on his desktop, which made them wonder, a guy like him, with his past statements and his proclivities, what could a guy like him possibly be doing on the dark web? We can't assume anything based solely on him having downloaded the core browser, but it does make you wonder, does it not? Regardless of him resurfacing, he continued to be largely inactive, prompting the users following his story to retrace their steps and explore different angles of his past. For example, one user recalled that in a video Michael recorded during Halloween at his mom's house, he mentioned that his mom was also into age play and age regression.
A family full of them? That's very unlikely, but ew.
Somehow, this topic never came up again, but if that was really the case, then this poor guy might have been doomed from the start. While his Pamperchu official channel was pretty inactive, he continued to occasionally upload to a side channel called Pamperchu Squeak, where he announced he was now hoarding a discontinued brand of talcum powder that apparently gave women ovarian cancer. For a guy who had previously struggled with cancer, he's oddly optimistic about covering his entire body in cancer powder. It's also around this time that he updated his FetLife to include that he was now in a relationship with 2 guys, named Snuggie and Marley. Now, I already covered Marley earlier, but Snuggie is a fellow adult baby diaper lover in his late 30s who identified himself as being brother of Pamperchu. However, what's really noteworthy here is that in Snuggie's latest activity on FetLife, he can be seen responding to a thread made by one Daddy Inky, someone who is also a part of the Pamperchu extended universe. At this point in time, very little is known about Inky, but we'll come back to him later when his relevance to Michael's story becomes clearer. Amidst Michael's shrouded whereabouts, he randomly got featured in an article about gas availability in the US. I wonder if the guy who posted this knew what he was doing, or if he just stumbled across that picture of Michael pumping gas and decided to go with it for no reason. One KF user who was frequently communicating directly with Michael through Telegram started giving the forum updates on things he said. Besides a few small reveals, such as Michael having once spent over $2,000 on a pair of diaper bags, early August marked the drop of yet another massive bomb.
$2,000 fucking dollars. Half that, I could solve one of my fucking medical bills.
Shell. An 8-minute audio of him talking in depth about pedophilia. He begins by relaying a conversation that he had with his friend Avery.
That night, the first day, I'm sitting in the garage in the gallery and on couch with him, and just said, Avery, are you a pedophile too? And he goes, oh yeah, I guess so. But then, a year goes by and he goes, no, I hate
And his friends with lots of pedophiles, and the shade will admit it aloud. His friends with a lot of pedophiles, and he doesn't know his own self.
that. I'm not into that.
Because of this exchange, he's not sure if he somehow pressured Avery into making that admission, but he speculates about it anyway.
He really does not like to talk about it, but he might be. Of course, I am. I'm open about it. I'm very good at talking about all of it. And for some reason, every friend I meet, I go, are you pedophile? You want to? They go, yeah.
After this, he goes on to say that while PDF file isn't his preferred term for what he considers himself to be, he decided to call himself that anyway to repurpose the word. However, the conversation quickly drifts into a dark direction as he starts talking about how there's no age of consent in some parts of the world, and at that point, any semblance of vagueness completely leaves.
Set the clock.
The picture.
What do I want? I want a bunch of
Even giving myself like even just the semblance of just moment of pause. Nope, right back into this shit.
little running around, so I can feed them and change diapers and put them at night. And if they're like preteens, yeah, of course I'd be okay with, experimenting with them. I'm not gonna.
I'm gonna.
Not like that. But that's what children should have. Instead of said they have public school. Oh my god, that's a disgrace. I don't see why not. Why can't a 12-year-old that's been cuddling with me all his life why can't we teach each other an experiment such as when kids do it with each other?
As far as
Nigga, your soul leaving with dying with each word.
As far as anyone who still somehow followed him and wasn't a creep themselves was concerned, this was the ultimate death of his reputation. As far as anyone who still followed him and wasn't a creep themselves was concerned, this was the ultimate death of his reputation and his definite transition from lol cow to horror cow. For context, Michael is a 33-year-old drug-addicted man who hears voices saying that experimenting with preteens would be better than sex ed. What's worse is that he follows that up with this.
I'm a safe space. I'm a safe adult. I do not tell on kids. I do not tattle on kids. I should say. Whatever's ever happened to me, I just keep it our little secret.
I clicked it all the way up to 245. I don't want to click rapidly like that again. And now we have to ask ourselves the real question. The real question. Call it in the air. Who's worse? Pamperchu or Brian Mullins the Fox? Call it in the air, chat. Which one's worse? One of them is going to tell you that, hey, you should have sex ed with your kids by letting them witness you plow mommy so they understand how the birds and the bees work. Or, Mr. I'm a safe space for kids. I love kids. I love kids. Which one's worse? Calling in the air. Calling in the air. That's correct call, Pamperchu. That's the correct call. Mm-hmm. Pamperchu 100%, Graced. Back to this shit.
I've never actually done anything, but I have a little friend that's around 12. Well, sure, it has it shining on me. He sure likes me. But we just play in the pool.
With that being said, the case of Pamperchu has gone from extremely concerning to arrest this guy now. The fact that he's actually hanging around kids is a sign that he already has what he wants to do in mind and is preparing to do it, or worse, potentially already doing it. Rarely does a crime of this sort happen suddenly. Most times, it's someone a kid knows and trusts. And in this case, Michael fits the bill to a T. After that jarring reveal, Michael nonchalantly starts voicing his support for simulated, not safe for work art of underage individuals, going as far as to imply he's intimately familiar with 3D renders that look almost exactly like the real thing. He concludes his audios to this person by basically bragging about how much he knows about this stuff, followed by a single text message that reads, BRB, Kratom. If you don't know what that is, Kratom is an esoteric Southeast Asian drug. Well, I say esoteric, but it's at like Walgreens probably, but basically a lot of people take Kratom. It's kind of a meme. Now maybe he was joking, but knowing his penchant for substance abuse and the fact that he has Tor installed on his computer and a lot of Bitcoin, people started speculating that he was just buying Kratom online. And then when he comes back from his Kratom break, he starts explaining the evolution of something.
During the Ice Age, when there's less food available and less mating available, evolved to take a child that another family could not take care of anymore. And they had a long-term relationship. Child eats less food. You can have all you want. There's no babies, so you have a long-term relationship without having babies.
I don't have the slightest idea where he got this from, but it sounds like a case of a lot of extremely wishful thinking coming from a completely deranged freak looking to justify his deviance. With this much absurdity, you'd think that would be all, but as it turns out, he was just getting started. In other Telegram messages that soon followed after, Michael can be seen defending incest.
Of course it was Telegram, just like fucking Joshua Snake thing. God damn. Every time!
Siblings and cousins. He reveals he accidentally ran over his phone while drunk driving. He talks about how his favorite drug is meth, which he believes more people should try as it's actually beneficial, and then talks about how he got back on Adderall, which he claimed to pop all day, every day, with no intention of ever getting sober. Based on the things relayed to the forum, his family never cared to see what Michael was going through. So even if they did have some idea of his depravity, they never did anything about it. But more important than his narcotic exploits is that among his many messages to his Kiwi Farms emissary, there was this revelation that when he was a kid, he was apparently abused by his stepbrother. Despite how long people had speculated that he suffered from some kind of childhood trauma that led to the way he was, the confirmation that this had indeed happened came in a very nonchalant and unceremonious way. In the same post, the user refers to a disturbing audio, and later on, that audio came out.
I always wanted to, they call it, just cuddle and just to smell him. I don't know what they smell like. I never had kids around me, but I want to smell them. And I just want to hold him and put him in a little diaper and hold him. That's about it. As far as it goes, hey, my stepbrother loved me and I want to dig into his face. I want to you know what you did to me when we were little kids? Well, guess what we're doing now? No, it was a good molestation. Basically, well, he had a diaper. I was wearing a diaper and I was like, diaper me, brother, diaper me. And whatever he did, he just mushed it onto my penis so hard. I was 8, so I probably didn't actually, I just had an orgasm. It was great. Now, when I use the word molest, I tend to think of that as just touching, not having sex. So I do like molest, but I do not like having sex. Not unless they really want to, and I know they don't.
While it definitely lived up to the description of disturbing, it once again brings to question how much of what Michael says is tainted by his self-made definitions of words. It's quite elucidating to see him trying to downplay him being abused and genuinely not understand how that kind of thing would traumatize other people. Based on the way he behaves, it seems he's convinced himself that what he went through was normal and had no effect on him, despite the fact that he's clearly mentally unwell and has to constantly be on drugs to cope with his regular life. There is an actual concept in psychology called minimization, which is essentially when people downplay their trauma, and it's somewhat related to another phenomenon called repetition compulsion or trauma reenactment syndrome, which is when people feel compelled to recreate the circumstances of their trauma to try and correct or take control over something that happened in their past. However,
That ain't having no time soon.
it's rare to see someone go so far into that mental spiral that they actually start believing that their trauma was good and that other people should also go through it. Strangely, despite these bizarre revelations, things continue to go on normally. And it seemed that no matter how absurd or vile the things Michael admitted to were, nothing was going to happen. In September, he made a couple of videos about his experience with cryptocurrencies, wherein he claimed he had once sold a pack of his dirty diapers for half a Bitcoin back when it was just a few dollars. It's also around this time he started documenting his process of getting and fixing up his new motorhome in the same trailer park as his parents' house. While this may seem innocuous at first, KF users eventually figured out where he lived and noticed it was less than 400 feet from an elementary school. In October, he went trick-or-treating with his mom during Halloween, and once again, Michael is explicitly taking any chance he can to be near children and interact with them. I think that's all he really cares about, since despite months going by of him working on his house, his priorities were not very well ordered. An example of which is the fact that he carpeted his kitchen, but for some reason neglected to put in a sink. As he became increasingly erratic and his motorized crack house was being christened with all of his vintage diaper trinkets, another Telegram leak hit. In his personal group chat, someone named Mr. Timmy claimed to be 15 and asked to post pictures. While some of the other people in the chat advised caution, Michael replied saying, "Oh, I can groom and touch, just do it." And he then also said the phrase "soft makes it legal." I have no idea what this guy's talking about. Is there some kind of law in Oregon I've never heard of where, I mean, you get the idea. I'm not gonna, I don't know what's wrong with him. What kind of Saul Goodman loophole bullshit is this? But for the first time, it looks like there might actually be consequences to this guy's actions, because in April of 2022, a user named Anonymous posted to KF saying, "I believe he's in jail, or something has happened to this disturbing person we call Pamperchu." In the middle of February this year, I found his Telegram and debated conversations with him where he outed himself, detailing crimes such as dating 14-year-old boys and paying the neighborhood children to do yard work and to allow him to touch them. I collected these messages as well as other details over time, and then the holy grail came when Pamperchu posted a video of fan mail he got, fully doxing himself at his new house. I sent all the evidence I acquired to the authorities in his local area, as well as a child safety task force tip line. I never told him my intentions and made him think I was just a fan and interested in why he is the way he is. Anyways, 3 days after the tip I made, he's no longer been on Telegram. No new videos on his channel on YouTube, so maybe he finally got busted. Hopefully, the children get justice and Michael gets some help. Eventually, this user made an update changing his stance on Michael's online absence, considering that he might be being investigated but not yet arrested. In the same post, he provides screenshots of his Telegram conversations where Michael admits to the claims that he goes around his neighborhood paying kids to work on his yard. A couple of months later, Michael finally reemerged, claiming his absence was due to him having lost his phone. While he clearly wasn't arrested or in trouble with the law yet, it seems that his health was being consumed by his own lifestyle. His videos are punctuated with slight references to ongoing paranoid hallucinations of there being government transmitters planted into his house, as well as haphazard and senseless episodes of aggression, signs of dehydration, and even some short-term memory loss. He can still put himself together enough to continue reviewing antique electronics and diapers, but even during his quote-unquote normal videos, he can't help but keep saying insane things.
Thinking about getting a kid, next year. So I always got shoes ready, And then the government's been spying on me again. Yeah, I think it's the FBI or the feds or whatever. They installed this and they thought I wouldn't notice. But these are little antennas. And it runs my wall switch, so I don't know. I think they're being spying on me. I mean, I had the CPS. Nope, nothing there. I had the CPS show up. Child Protective Services. I said, nope, no kids here. Only the Chuck E. Cheese. But I'll get some kids here pretty soon. Hopefully. Enjoy my feet.
In another video, to celebrate the 4th of July, he sets off insecticide foggers inside his own house and lobs some baby powder around. He claims that these aren't bad to inhale, but his behavior signals otherwise.
Well, you get the point.
But of course, it's not a Pamperchu video until he starts talking about kids.
Just remember to recommend me in. You bring your kids over, we'll swear around them, make sure they don't.
Picking up kids again.
Make sure they stay fresh. Big pal wrap, for 3 kids.
Again, the line
Making jokes about wrapping the kids up like salami wrap.
between a joke and something he's serious about is really being blurred here, since over the course of his years online, he's time and time again shown his predilection for things being wrapped in plastic, environments that are completely covered in plastic, and plastic diapers. Now, he's talking about saran wrapping minors, so I'll let you be the judge of what he means by that. Another highlight from this video is when he shows the roof of his shed, which has, by my count, 11 diapers on it, for reasons an anthropologist simply could not deduce. His schizo posting goes up a notch in his video titled Gene Splice Baby, wherein he claims that he is the product of genetic experimentation, remarking upon his facial features at the bottom of his feet as evidence of that. Soon after, he uploads I'm a CRISPR baby about the same subject, but this time showing that he had glued multiple $2 bills to his walls before reiterating that the FBI is watching him. Eventually, it seems that he starts to dissociate.
I don't know what to do with Pamperchu anymore. He keeps breaking all my stuff. I don't know what to do with him anymore. Let's try. There's a piece of government aluminum. That's government plastic. That's government plastic right there.
The rest of the video contains more of him breaking stuff around his house and slamming objects for no discernible reason. As his mental health rapidly approached ground zero, someone identifying themselves as the president and chairman of the Society for Pamperchu Worship posted a large cache of previously unseen images of Pamperchu to prove that they'd been in contact with him, claiming that they were willing to serve as an intermediary between Michael and the farms. Immediately, a question and answer started, with Michael almost immediately admitting to having used a site called Ink Money that, according to his own recollection, had lots of illegal content on it. Soon after, Michael decides to bypass his emissary and joins the farms himself to engage with the users directly. He proceeds to claim that his remark about it being legal if it stopped was just a joke he made while he was drunk. In the same post, he says he's had an enema laced with meth, but that he was staying off of it as he was on Adderall to function and be healthy. He also says that he expects his cancer to be coming back in a few years. One of Pamp's posts included him saying that a 4-year-old boy said he liked him, and when he was asked if he thought it was okay to engage with that 4-year-old, he said yes, as long as it's consensual. This response obviously is extremely horrifying, and it also prompted some more questions from users. For one, he was asked why he thought that a 4-year-old could consent, and in response, he said that when he was 4, he was able to. Once again, this is another sign that he's rewritten the narrative of his own trauma in his head to make it something else instead of what it is. Horrifying trauma that made him the way that he is. A couple of days after his initial Q&A, Michael opted to get on a chat with KF members, in which he made a variety of statements ranging from interesting to downright horrifying. He claimed he had close to $250,000 worth of art and hadn't used a computer in 6 years, which is bizarre coming from someone as terminally online as he is, although he might be speaking out of his drug-addled insanity and had a homebrew definition of what constituted a computer. He eventually mentioned he held onto a backup of another diaper website, like the ones I mentioned earlier in the video, that sold catalogs of illegal content. However, this time, he also mentioned the owner of the website by name, Deeker, spelled D-E-E-K-E-R. While Deeker's sick legacy is mostly wiped from the internet, one single archive snapshot of his Encyclopedia Dramatica page has survived, where we can find descriptions of his activity that date all the way back to when websites like Something Awful were still mainstream. Here's one of his quotes. I remember as far back as age 3 that I loved my diapers. I distinctly remember having erections every time I looked down at my diapers. Deeker's miscreants includes identifying as an 8-year-old boy, posting hundreds of extremely lengthy PDF file fantasy stories, outright advocating for girls to abuse their younger brothers, and a whole other collection of disgusting things, including, like I said earlier, running a website that contained what was tantamount to not safe for work images of children, which ultimately led to his arrest. His Encyclopedia Dramatica article includes the news report on it, which reads, a man known as Diaper Boy has been arrested in White City after he again showed a diaper he was wearing 2 children. Despite a long history of showing the diaper to children, recent attempts to charge him criminally have been frustrated because he does not expose himself. The 31-year-old man was arrested Thursday after he showed his diaper and passed out pictures of adults and children wearing diapers from a website. The man has been arrested and booked about 5 times prior. Court records show he was charged in 2008 with 11 counts of misdemeanor lewdness involving a child in Holiday, but those charges were later dismissed. He registered as a sex offender after pleading guilty to similar charges in 1999 and 2000. The fact that Michael frequented this guy's website is a true sign of how these people streamline minors into their vile interests. When the conversation veered toward his early life, Michael nonchalantly admitted that he was regularly in contact with adult ABDLs when he was just 15 years old, and that even back then, he already identified as or knew that he was a PDF file. He claimed that he was forthcoming about this, even to CPS agents that went to his house, blatantly admitting it to them, but that after looking around his house and not finding anything illegal, they just left. When asked if he was racist, he said he wouldn't buy a black child at an auction, but he didn't hate all black people per se, just that he'd rather buy a Mexican instead. Lastly, he commented on his substance abuse, saying that he stuck to Adderall and Kratom after the Silk Road went down, and he could no longer get his other stuff. But he did mention that he got to try Pure Fent twice. After these chat logs were dumped to his thread, people scrubbed through Deeker's old website, where many degenerate individuals doxed their own names, location, and email addresses. In response to this being brought up, Michael says, that website is what I found as a young teen, and I met local people, and we had fun. Little old me, 18-year-old me, meeting the older guys. Many are still friends, now getting into their 70s. One time, this ABDL mother and stepdad let their 1-year-old baby and a 7-year-old kid to the party, and I got to play chess with the 7-year-old in the other room. But they abused him, and I didn't like it. The mom and stepdad both would wear diapers and bang each other with the 1-year-old in the room, but the 7-year-old boy couldn't have any diapers, so it made me sad. I was given all his sippy cups and bottles. It makes me so mad still today that they did that. I was 18 at the time and new to meeting people, but nowadays if I see that happen, I will kick ass and call CPS. What made me more sad was that they let the boy hug all the other people, and he was saving me for last, and when it was my turn, they pulled him away and went home next door. We are all pet, but come on, we spent a fun night playing chess, and I don't get a hug, never saw him again. After this horrific story, which may or may not be true, about some kind of ABDL meeting, Michael closes it off by expressing his hope that he can spend time with kids in his house. But while this marks the last noteworthy activity of him in the thread, a brief little sideshow took place that didn't have to do with Michael himself. A post lamenting Michael's remark about a 4-year-old liking him was negatively reacted to by someone named Anonymous. This person has already been talked about in my DSP video, as he was one of DSP's moderators who turned on him and leaked all of these secret mod chat logs to Kiwi Farms. The thing is, Anonymous happened to also be a furry ABDL who followed and engaged with multiple zoophile accounts on Twitter, including one that belonged to a minor. He also had tons of not safe for work art in his Twitter likes that fell into categories like baby fur or cub, both of which are just absolutely foul, disgusting.
Like, we've gone straight so far past the Rubicon that it's not even worth the click at that point. I don't think we've gotten worse than pedophile that admits he's a pedophile and likes to hang out with other pedophiles and get them paused up.
horrible nuclear bomb. Now, maybe all of this has something to do with Anonymous being upset at a different user calling Michael a PDF file. In August, Michael returned to the farms, and just like last time, a slew of new disturbing statements were made. To start off, early on in the conversation, he begins talking about being a firearms enthusiast and having friends who share this interest, followed by a cryptic mention that these friends are the kind that go into the forest and then go missing. If this wasn't ominous enough, he immediately adds that all the people he's killed so far was their fault. While it's possible that this is the kind of awkward joke he likes to make, no one actually has any idea what he's talking about here. Once the subject went nowhere, he started talking about having worked for Intel and Google, going as far as to say he was hired by YouTube as an ethical hacker to find patches. I'm not savvy with this topic, so I won't comment on how possibly true this could be, but given there's no evidence of this, and this also being the height of his paranoid schizophrenia, I'll let you be the judge of if he worked for Google and YouTube as an ethical hacker. But what is interesting is that during his supposed time working for YouTube, he said that he investigated CP from 2015 to 2016, but that he never did anything under his desk. After bragging about how ethical of a creep he was and how kids would always be safe with him, he immediately curtails it by saying that he would occasionally take a bath with them and cuddle. Part of his reasoning for his confidence that he wouldn't hurt kids is that he's not interested in any kind of intercourse, punctuating that with an admission to only having it once in his life. In 2010's edition of the Furlandia convention with the mysterious Steve Weiland, who he later claims reverse him, I was in a fursuit laying on my back and he shoved his butt on me and made me do it. Steve forced me in a fun way. Jeez, I hate talking about it. Paired with this jarring story, Michael claims Steve made him a gene splice baby. But like usual, whenever getting too deep into a personal topic, he would make a radical subject change. Although this time, he managed to find something equally eerie to talk about. My cancer was probably from when I did some government work when I was 5 years old with other kids. Long story that you wouldn't understand or believe. I was in a tunnel and there were some glowing tubes, kind of green. He showed me what x-rays looks like on a tube, then we went back to the tunnel and he and two kids smashed 3 of the jars on the ground. Me and my grandpa started running out of the tunnel like I was told. I felt this wave go through my body 3 times. We ran faster and then closed the door like I was told to, got in the truck and drove fast away from the place. It was fun. Me and my grandpa went home and our neighborhood was evacuated for a day or 2. Cool government people came by to measure us and we felt better after a day. Rubber hazmat suits with click counters. This was intentional with his friend that worked with my family in the government. I felt a moon rock when I was 6. I didn't care much about it at the time. I remember the land that had hundreds of tunnel doors, all neatly arranged, gravel on top and a cutting of trees. I didn't understand how special it was at the time. My name, Pamperchu Gifford, is also on the Mars rover. After saying all of these bizarre things about these things that supposedly took place during his childhood, which did not happen, he cut himself off before he could say anything else, closing his sequence of messages with, okay, no more showing off Pamperchu. Besides mentions of him bathing in bleach, bug bombing his house without leaving it because it's safe, and playing with lead from car batteries as a child, these stand as the highlights of the nearly 5-hour conversation that the farms had with Michael. And after that, it was just radio silence. He would only return as the end of the month approached, and unfortunately, it was in a much, much darker circumstance. But before we can get into what came out, I first have to introduce you to the Council of Evil, however hard that may be. Now,
So fucking evil.
you're all familiar with Ethan Ralph's kill stream and the crew of misfits that hangs around that sphere of the internet. Imagine that, but with even more degenerates, and you'll get the idea. There are many members of the council, so to speak. Mormon Shaggy, for example, is a schizo and self-proclaimed Mormon preacher who happens to have been excommunicated by the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints. Shaggy considers himself an SA victim specialist and has even worked as a youth counselor supervisor, although he got fired and eventually sued for his behavior. The court
Good.
document describing his termination states, during the termination meeting, he kept yelling and swearing at other employees. He grabbed a large knife that was on the nightstand and put it in his bag. He screamed various obscenities such as F you fat bitch. I knew from the moment I saw you, you were a pig, and as you can see, a real stand-up guy if ever there was one. This is just one guy out of many, but if I was going to get into every single one, it would take a little bit too much time. So, for the sake of brevity, we'll focus on the members that matter to Michael's story. DJ Axel, the leader of the Council of Evil, is classified as a Norwegian, neat, gay, furry, quote-unquote ironic PDF file, who was unknowingly recorded having a conversation with someone named Cinder, who suggested bringing Pamperchu, and someone else named Shaunus into the call. The farms provide an extra layer of context, claiming that Cinder is a baby fur who's been in the psych ward multiple times, and Shaunus is a baby fur who works at a kid's school. Eventually, Michael starts talking, and within minutes, they get into the topic of his former associate, who designed diapers, but was also selling pictures of kids wearing them. But of course, this comes as no shock to anyone else in the call. We're seemingly okay with that kind of behavior. Although I should note that Michael says this associate did something he shouldn't do. A few minutes later, Axel begins begging for Pamperchu to record himself using the bathroom, but fortunately for the sake of humanity, Michael refuses this one time. After a couple more discussions about diapers and intercourse and stuff, Michael cracks a joke, if we can call it that, about getting off to CP, but he immediately qualifies it, saying this.
Looking at kids' feet, like if I'm watching kids' feet, it makes me happy to watch? Is that child? No, not really, but it's doing the same thing, so I love kids' feet. And kids in diapers.
As Michael briefly leaves his keyboard, Axel talks about cooking and eating rotten chicken meat. After Michael comes back, he begins talking about using the same encryption the FBI.
You described it, and now I can taste it.
Uses, and goes on to reveal he keeps a flash drive of his in a safe to prevent certain data of his from being found, adding that he believes in treating CP and Bitcoin in the same way as far as protecting it from being found by others. A few moments later, they're all talking about buying a life-size child doll for $1,500, followed by Michael once again going over his employment history, this time adding that Google fired him once they found out he was a child predator. The conversation gets even more grim as Michael confesses to getting a VR headset and a computer to run it just so that he could interact with kids on VrChat, followed by him bragging about how many kids he gets to interact with regularly in real life.
Yep.
I need a drink. And that implies it having to get up and at least spending 30 minutes to walk down to the fucking liquor store to buy something, and I'm not doing that. You've done this to me, horror. A method easier than blowing my voice out, which is currently at 285. Thanks, I hate it.
He's the only one that really, he's old enough to know that I like kids, and I can tell he likes adults, because he hangs out with lots of, like, the adult men in the park. So,
to make matters worse, he was getting kids to unwittingly take part in his strange interests, filling diapers up with water and other stuff. The other people in the call were clearly egging on Michael, to which he somewhat resisted, but eventually went along with it, talking about getting himself a basement so that he could bring kids there. Afterwards, he mentions his wish of finding PDF file parents that he could hang out with, followed by this horrific exchange.
How much money would you buy my kid from me? For how much money?
Is it boy or girl? How old?
Boy.
How's his
1 year old? White?
Is he autistic?
No.
I see.
Yeah.
Preferred if he was autistic.
Can I rent him for a week?
No, you have to buy
What do you
it.
do to him in a week?
It's like test driving a car.
Yeah, but it's a 1 year old. You can mold their brain. How much would you buy a child?
This is a real conversation. This is not a bit that somebody recorded as bait. That is a real conversation.
Child for.
Oh, at most, $10,000.
If that wasn't bad enough, the other people in the call continued to ask Michael questions about this hypothetical, and eventually something came out that he clearly didn't intend to say.
Would you give the child some? Would you give a 2-year-old math?
Well, I had it at 4, but no, 2 was a little young for that. I just know I did it back then.
How do you know?
Here's some memories. I'm starting to load up, and people I knew, and they gave me a glass of water, and the water had meth in it. Yeah.
And is that the uncle which touched you? Is that the person who touched you who gave you the methamphetamine?
Actually,
Yeah,
I'm
he
not.
is, isn't he? Yeah, he is.
I can't remember exactly who gave me the water, the drink of water.
Yeah, it's the guy who touched you.
Yeah, but he must have gave it to me after. Because if he gives me first, then I wouldn't be able to get hard.
After a long time of him only ever admitting that a situation with his stepbrother had happened, this was, at least to my knowledge, the first time he ever directly acknowledged that an adult, someone significantly older, had done something to him in his childhood. And
Well, it wasn't the parents. Every time.
even here, he sounds pretty coy and resistant to the idea. But in keeping with the Pamperchu brand, Michael didn't respond to these leaks or acknowledge them in any way, proceeding to instead upload a variety of bizarre videos to his channel, such as "I'm going to eat my children," in which he dances and sniffs his roommate's feet, and "Clean your toilets,"
Why?
in which he doesn't seem to be cleaning any toilets. Disappointing clickbait. As his insanity spiked up once again, Michael somehow found his way to the Kiwi Farms Telegram channel, and apparently Telegram just gets him in a flow state where he can't keep his intrusive thoughts in anymore. After verifying his identity by providing an unforeseen picture of himself with his Chuck E. Cheese doll and a picture of his toes, he proceeds to send audio message after audio message, doing nothing but incriminating himself and revealing how much of a perverted individual he was. Not that ship hadn't already sailed by this point, but he just keeps going. He starts off with a disturbing anti-monkey rant.
I hate monkeys, and I want to kill an animal. Well, I don't know if you guys are the gourd people, but someone's gonna come over here. Hopefully, we can take apart an animal together. I'll keep it clean. I don't care if it gets on carpet or walls.
Given his familiarity with obscure sites, the dark web, and Telegram, it's probably a safe bet that he's in a few monkey hate groups himself, given how much he has in common with those people. But that's not all, as he continues to share his plans for animals.
So far as I know, I think it'll be a rat or a rabbit. I think maybe we'll do a rabbit. Yeah, or a raccoon, but I think we'll do a rabbit. And also, I'm gonna eat it. I'm not just gonna take it apart and get. No, I want to learn. I've never done it before, but I really like that stuff. And then I'll probably cook meat and eat it for dinner. So we're gonna have dinner together. I like getting squirrels with my car. There's a lot of them on the island. But when you get a thump underneath your tire, it's always satisfying. If you've never done it before, I don't know, but I like the thump. Squish.
Serial killer behavior. Serial killer behavior. Can we put horror in the timeout box? Unfortunately, no. Sometimes, as a friend, but no. No, we cannot. Not for this. Cringe and pains are very simple motivators when you have to finish something you hate doing. Agony. The stimuli of pain is not enough. You need agony.
Squish. I love crush and squish. I got to see rats get squished and shot and smashed with a shovel. I mean, I've done that.
If he wasn't on his path to becoming a serial killer yet, he certainly is now, as this is typically how actual criminals lead up to what they eventually do, by starting with small animals like rodents. He's considered the matter so thoroughly that he actually revealed the legal standards for animal cruelty in his state.
No, you can't do that in Washington because a horse woman killed her. But no, Oregon's still legal. It's fine, and we keep it tame.
Immediately after, he starts talking about his other thoughts, this time on children.
Rape sucks, but I like children. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a bad pedophile. I just like children. I mean, I like to cuddle up with them or hang out with them and do stuff.
Saying that you like children makes you a pedophile. Period. Don't be coy. Own your retardation.
Feed them, things like that. I'm not like a fur or anything. No, I would never. At best, I might come off if they wanted to do it with me. I mean, they can do it themselves or we can do it side by side,
A Mao. Parallel masturbation, bro.
I'll show them the fursuit head and stuff. But no, I'm not going to be mean. Or that's not mean. But I won't do anything inappropriate. That's what I should say. Oh, no, that's just a fantasy. Just because doesn't mean I'm going to do that in real life, okay? I just don't expect me to be a bad person. What I mean is, I don't want to
I can just play with their feet if they don't mind. But they have that on Telegram too. You can look at kids' feet all the time.
This was also another bizarre mention of Steve again in an extremely incriminating context.
Yeah, we're all. Okay, well, I haven't seen Steve in a minute though, but yeah, he always gets new boys running to his house. So for when I was, oh yeah, yummy. Oh, those are mine. Yeah, so I learned to do meth with Steve, and we'd both go to our own offices and play with diapers on our own. I was in jail, but it was for breaking dishes, which I didn't break. Steve was throwing dishes around the house, and I got kicked out. Anyway, I lived with him for 10 years, but he's a good boyfriend. He still loves me. He says I love you now. It takes many years to really feel love, and I have that with Steve.
Apparently, discussing Steve made him start reminiscing on his substance abuse as well.
Meth is awesome, you guys. I mean, I like to store a line and put on some baby diapers and just squish around.
Just doing it again.
Baby diapers for hours and days, and then after I get done with baby diapers, let's play with electronics. Oh, I just like diapers. I love children too, so like I mix the two together. And what do you end up with? Stinky feet. I did finally got to try crack recently, but it didn't do a damn thing, so I don't know if it was real or not. But I did cocaine when I worked at Lamb Research, but I like meth.
Perhaps equally concerning as what he just said is his reveal of yet another one of his hobbies.
I've been building since I was a kid. I don't want to hurt people, just so you know. But my dad liked the sound it made. But yeah, we made dry ice and other types of but you know, like pipe. But we did it in a safe place, so no one got hurt.
What's worse is how these extremely disturbing audios are paired with extremely, even if unintentionally, funny ones.
I got a diaper. I bought $4,000 worth of diapers. My closet's full. I wear them. I've been wearing them since I was 14. I threw my underwear when I was 14. Isn't like the worst word nowadays? Like you can't call someone fat. I mean, you can say, but you can't say anymore.
Lord of mercy.
Anyway, I digress.
If you thought that King Cobra was as disgusting as it got with the esoteric recipes, prepare to enter a new world of culinary hell.
No, I haven't microwaved a diaper in a minute. I cooked one on the barbecue.
You and me both, Grace. You and me both. It's almost over. We're almost done. Because now I'm at the point where it's like, I want to be unconscious, but I can't be. It wasn't from my mother's loud-ass voice in the other goddamn room.
Barbecue sauce, that's pretty good. And then I plugged one into the wall, and it smoked, and it made the house smell delicious.
He even mentioned to me at one point, and I'm not really sure why.
I don't know who Tom Turkey is, but I used to have a turkey named Tom. We call him Tom Turkey, Turkey Tom. I don't know who that is, though.
To hear my name come out of this guy's mouth is a life achievement I never really expected to get. But eventually, the topic became his experiences in the furry community, and this is what came to mind for him.
I always loved the smell of fursuits. At first, I didn't like that, but now, oh yeah, sweaty fursuit, I like that. His one smells like chocolate, of course. My friend borrowed mine. It was covered in, and people were hugging him like they thought it was me, but it was him. So yeah, mine was just, it looked like that, but instead of chocolate, it was food. And people really like that.
For whatever reason, this was followed by conversations about his standards.
Well, some children are cute and some are ugly. Sometimes they look like a monkey. But I love my little black cousin. He's cute. He's fun to hang out with and play with.
After expounding on his specific fantasies, Michael once again seemed to slip and say much more than he intended to when he began retelling 2 real-life incidents he had with minors. As a consequence of these disgusting audios, the moderators muted Michael permanently, putting an end to his rampage, and soon after, he left the Telegram chats he was in. But then he came back.
Okay, I'm up for breakfast. I pooped the bed. I did that on purpose. I just changed my diaper. I'm all clean and happy now. The sun's shining so beautiful this morning, so open all the windows.
However, once Steve came back up again, even darker things came to light.
So we signed a contract 30 years ago. He had to take care of me for 10 years, whatever. I can't go on and on about it, but I've known him for 30 years.
30-year contract to take care of him. For 10 years, he said?
Came to light.
So we signed a contract 30 years ago. He had to take care of me for
30 years ago.
Years, whatever. I can't go on and on about it, but I've known him for 30 years. He's 68 now. I met him when I was a toddler. He came out in the back of my Camaro. I remember getting back in the car with Steve. Now I can say it's been 30 years. I liked it. I was happy. And then every time I saw him over the years when I was a kid, I was like, I forgot about you. I'm going to forget about you. You know? And finally when I was in my 20s, I forgot about him, of course. But then he invited me over for a date on his birthday. He built me a house. He took care of me for 10 years, rent free. So now I'm in my own house.
Yeah.
But that's what the contract said. You gotta go on one date, and if he likes you, you gotta go keep going. But he has lots of boys. He has lots of boys that hang around. Yes, my mother knows about this man. She signed the contract when I was like 4. I mean, I signed it too. But after going through the bullet points, legal documents, yes.
After saying these things about Steve, he once again started talking about how his grandparents worked for the government and once let him hold a stolen moon rock while he was being timed, for whatever reason. The unbelievably grim implications of these stories, if true, is that Michael's parents and grandparents signed a contract with this Steve person that basically granted him a certain amount of access to Michael throughout his life. The fact
A Mao. I don't think that's real. I think that's some plausible lying to give himself some attention. That happens because we cannot be able to prove it or confirm or deny is being repeated by Turkey Tom. But I think that on behalf of Pamperchu, that is a lie by Pamperchu to just get people's attention. Still dinging it! Still dinging it!
The fact that he acknowledges he spent a portion of his life with no memory of Steve whatsoever is very fitting, given that people who suffer childhood trauma often expunge certain memories and feelings. When people try to convince Michael that he was abused and should do something about it, this was his response.
What would I turn Steve in for? The statute of limitations already canceled that. Also, I accepted that and wanted that.
Between March and April 2023, more communication.
What would I turn Steve in for? The statute of limitations already canceled that. Also, I accepted that and wanted that.
Between March about it, this was his response.
What would I turn Steve in for? The statute of limitations already canceled that. Also, I accepted that and wanted that.
Between March and April. This was his response.
What would I turn Steve in for? The statute of limitations already canceled that. Also, I accepted that and wanted that.
Between
How great is it that fucking he who will steal your content, Ian Miles Chungus, decided this was when he'd get onto the topic and try and take shit. I can't drink booze. I can't drink booze. I can't drink booze for my problems, cause that is using a crutch. No, I can't drink booze. I must race wrong dudes. But my sanity is breaking, cause my mind is going, taking a pooper on my back.
Between March and April 2023, more communications between the farms and Michael went on, where he admitted to having recently overdosed on a cocktail with malt liquor and opioids, having his neighbors find him completely unresponsive and call 911. He also admitted to having engaged with 2 Rottweilers, having performed an act on a cat, and then confessed to knowing the people who had nitrous oxide canisters at the Rainforest convention, then talked about being back on meth, which he was now regularly doing again. Last but not least, he apparently managed to solve racism.
As long as you don't use the N-word in a derogatory term, although you can do that, I think it's okay. You know, like in song, or as a greeting. Hey, haven't seen you in a minute, you know, something like that. But when it's in a derogatory tone, that's when it's a hate speech. We shouldn't do that, but I don't think it's illegal either. Yeah, it's like, howdy, that's a good one. I mean, you usually have to know the person ahead of time.
It's hard to keep the story of Pamperchu totally consistent, since every time he says something morbid, dark, or confesses to doing something evil, it's followed up with these weird zingers that almost make it hard to take seriously. However, we're immediately pulled right back into the absolute black hole that is this guy's existence, as in April, it also came out that Michael had just joined a Telegram group, which was allegedly tied to various extortionists, zoosadists, groomers, and even real-life murderers. I'm not going to comment on the authenticity of these ties to this specific Telegram group, but given all of Michael's previous misdeeds, this is hardly impossible or hard to believe. Around the same time period, Stone Toss based one of his flirt NFTs on Pamperchu with the full-on bunny costume and 1971 microwave, and then Michael got interviewed by an OG lolcow by the name of Naya Okami, who's responsible for this classic.
On all levels except physical, I'm a wolf.
However, the conversation between the two yielded very little in the way of new information, as Michael was mostly being asked questions that he'd already been answering dozens of times by this point.
I've been one for many years, my whole life. It's just common conversation with people.
So, would you tell somebody you met on the street that you were?
Yeah, I have.
It never ceases to amaze me how little Michael cares about saying this stuff. This is like a retarded version of the interrogation scene from The Dark Knight or something. Like, why did you say that? Why did you feel the need to tell someone that? Why? After supposedly announcing he'd be buying a real life-size doll of a kid, developments finally slowed to a halt, leading some people to feel that Michael was coming to the end of his arc, having exhausted everything he could possibly do. But in early May 2023, another bombshell hit as a KF sleuth by the name of Weather posted a full rundown on the person who could very well be Steve, Mr. Paul Freeman, also known as Daddy Inky, which was a name we saw pop up on one of Michael's boyfriends a lot earlier in the story. For starters, his age was a match for the person Michael was describing, an ABDL furry man in his late 60s to early 70s who had known him for a very long time. Apparently, this Inky person had forum posts dating back to 2005 where he was complaining that his wife was no longer allowing him to change his kids' diapers because he was getting aroused during it. While I haven't been able to find that,
Just look. These are the kind of people I used to send to jail. This is why I developed drinking. Day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. That was my job, putting them behind bars, finding material, making sure that the prosecutors had everything possible, and then fucking having lunch in the government center.
KF Post provided screenshots of his FetLife account where he actually suggested Love Maps by Dr. Money as a great book to read in order to understand the ABDL lifestyle. For context, Dr. Money was a self-proclaimed sexologist who in the late 60s advised the parents of
John Money. Ladies and gentlemen, John Money.
young boy who had underwent a botched circumcision to perform a sex reassignment surgery on him and raise him as a girl. When the boy was 6 years old, John Money showed him, along with his twin sibling, adult movies, and had the two brothers perform what they saw on each other, even taking a photograph of it at one point. After years of regularly performed inspections, the boy was told the truth by his parents and immediately detransitioned, taking on the name of David. Years later, both brothers took their own life, one via overdose on antidepressant medication, the other via sawed-off shotgun. The fact that Dr. Money is cited as fundamental reading material is disturbing, to say the least. It's incredibly fucked up. Also on Paul's FetLife, we can find his interests include things like age play, diaper rash, among a lot of other nightmarish things. His Instagram is riddled with requests for boys to follow him, along with him complaining about being called a PDF file, while also acknowledging...
Of course. Because of course. People like this are allowed to have accounts on social media, but we can't have natural fucking content be able to blow naturally.
He's interacting with minors. Now, all of this is more than enough to show you what kind of freak we're looking at here. But to make all of this even worse, Paul isn't like Michael. He doesn't wear his degeneracy on his sleeve. Instead, he keeps it hidden in plain sight. Further scrutiny into his online presence showed that he had a non-ABDL Facebook, where he revealed that he was working in the U.S. Department of Commerce, and is an accredited Grand Master Freemason and a Protestant... minister, posting Bible verses to his page on a daily basis. By looking through the people he followed on Instagram, it could be seen that he followed over 5,000 accounts, many of which belong to preteens and teenagers, although I'm not going
Wait and see. Actually, no. Hold on. Funnier bit. Certainly somebody has the instrumental of this church organ for wait and see. Probably not. That's probably not the one I'm looking for. Perhaps this is a unique verse that's unique only to St. Anne's. In any case, what am I looking for? What am I looking for? Or am I thinking of Brandon Heath Wait and See? Or is it Taste and See? No, it's Taste and See. I'm fucking stupid. Holy shit. Anyways. This is how bad it is. I can't even remember the basic fucking shit of the denominational faith. I know I don't need that. I don't feel like getting claimed. Just give me the goddamn instrumental, please. Thank you. That'll work. I don't want piano. I want it in organ. Can I get it on an organ, please? Too much like a video game music. Too much like karaoke. Again, too much like music. Somebody made a Kids Bop electropop version of Taste and See by something called Planet Shaker Kids with something that looks like Pretty Patties. Nigga, come on. Organ. Wonderful. Cringe and see. Cringe and see. Feel the pain in your sides. Cringe and see. Look and weep. We shudder in agony. We feel the pain deep in your souls. Look and see what has happened, what horror has brought here to unfold. Wait and watch as it infiltrates your soul. Feel the bile rise as you feel it in your vocal folds. Wait and see. Cringe with me. She laughs at all our pain. Wait and see. No, you can't be. You don't fucking leave. You suffer with me. Ah! Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any clippers? Any clippers? Any clippers? We're almost done. We're almost done, Chad. I can't leave. You can't leave. 4 minutes. Graced. I can't leave. You can't leave. If I can't drink and I can't leave, you can't leave. This humorous break has been brought to you by Carl's last remaining sanity. That's Carl's last remaining sanity. Ah!
Going to show their handles or the pictures for obvious reasons. From his evident interest in teenagers to the place where he lives, all of the information available on this guy matches that of the mysterious Steve. And given Michael has clearly expressed he's interested in shielding Steve from law enforcement, having a fake name for who he calls his daddy would make sense. Unfortunately, as bleak as all this is, it doesn't seem like anything ever came out of it. Meanwhile, on the Pamperchu side of things, he'd been exiled from all KF telegrams and found himself in the presence of one Doom Guy, a known Kiwi Farms lolcow. What Doom Guy wasn't aware of was that their conversation was being recorded. So he began asking Michael for .onion links, meaning websites on the dark web. While he didn't initially specify what kind of links he wanted, Michael grew increasingly frustrated at his lack of articulation, leading to this moment.
What exactly are you looking for? Tell me more exactly what you're looking for. Naked girls?
Pictures, like I said, female ages ranging from like 14 to 17.
The one I sent you is probably the best. The one I sent you is probably the best, but you're not gonna see naked though. You're gonna see like cute girls. Like it's okay. I mean, they're cute.
Later on in their conversation, Doom Guy starts talking about hypothetically having a secluded farm with an underground section where he could keep people in cells where they'd have to perform, in his words, or they wouldn't be rewarded with food. And strangely enough, Michael says he's been to places like that before. Despite the depths of depravity the tale of Pamperchu had plummeted to, few people knew the full extent of it, and his activity continued unhindered for the time being. In mid-2024, YouTuber Nick Nobody released a documentary on him, mostly focusing on his bizarre diaper experiments. But at this point, that stuff had already been long surpassed by the other elements of his story that are way more egregious in comparison, however unlikely that may sound. In the same month as Nick's video went up, Michael posted a new video where he can be seen playing with his Chuck E. Cheese doll, saying that he had a fun day playing with his government aluminum and occasionally talking to his roommate Sean in the background. I genuinely cannot believe that there are this many people who are completely okay with living with this guy. Just a couple of weeks after this video went up, a KF user notified the rest of the people on the Pamperchu thread that Michael had just posted a video of a man, presumably himself, doing something with a dead rabbit. Given how unusually horrific this was, even for Michael's standards, people immediately confronted him about it, to which he responded saying the following.
No, that wasn't me. That's somebody else. But I will let you know it's one of my favorite videos. I've always wanted to do that.
The fact you can hear the laughter in his voice as he says these things, along with his previous admissions, leads me to think that even if it somehow wasn't him in the video, it very well could have been.
I've seen what is inside of the telegrams. I know what goes on inside of the horror cow content creators that exist amongst the furries. As this was the information that was necessary to put Joshua Snake Thing in jail for 300 months. It was also the information that is necessary for why we know that Carol the Wolf was guilty as sin for what he did to his dog, and how all the zoo files in that Telegram group were exposed by the greater internet. I had a hand in it, but I was simply a minor one, making sure people had their T's crossed and their I's dotted. As an ex-Fed, of course. This man actively just lied to everybody in the world, acting like he was not fucking a dead rabbit. Oh look, we've crossed over into 640. My voice would have been destroyed. Thanks, Horror.
It wouldn't surprise me. Ever since this happened, Michael has continued to make regular uploads to his Pamperchu Archive YouTube account, which makes me assume that his main account has been forbidden from making new uploads. After a long hiatus and post that began in May 2024, he started uploading again in December. And as much as it pains me to say, nothing has changed, as a noticeably aging and now wrinkly Michael continues to don diapers and pajamas as he goes about his bizarre life. It's rare that someone this deranged gets to live for this long, let alone have his own place, and basically in some weird way be functional. However, Michael himself speculated that he won't live to see himself turn old, as his cancer will eventually come back. Unlike most lolcows, Pamperchu's is a story with no real takeaway, as we're basically compelled to acknowledge that even after everything, this guy will simply continue to exist alongside us. Worse yet is the fact that, as he's reminded us time and time again, he's far from being the only one of his kind. Maybe one day the drugs will claim his sanity. Maybe one day his diapers will make him septic. Maybe one day his 1971 microwave will turn the city of Beaverton into Chernobyl. With Pamperchu, anything is possible. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Sorry I made this video. I genuinely am. I've been Turkey Tom.
You're not sorry. You're not sorry, you 1.4 million bastard. You're not sorry.
Thanks for watching, and until next time, leave me alone.
Why are people choosing to lump furries into all of this? Oh, you go in the corner. You in timeout. You grin in the corner. You face the wall. You know what you did. Why are all these people choosing to lump furries into all this or claiming to be one? Well, Alex, it goes all the way back to what I said at the beginning when we were looking at the particular section here where he listed himself as a man who was interested in the, where is it? It's right here in one of these sections. Was it point Is it 030? Should have been like 030.
And deranged on the internet. But the story of Michael Gifford begins with a passion for wearing diapers. Unlike many of his diaper-clad peers, Michael never made any effort to hide his proclivities, telling all of his friends about his love for diapers, even in high school. His love for the furry ABDL, meaning adult baby diaper.
Here we go. So, right here, this is the reason why these people are lumped in with furries. The furry ABDL of the adult baby diaper lovers are people who are the most prolific and the most degenerate amongst the furries. They usually come in those flavors, you see, the most degenerate. They either are the zoo sadists, they are the white girls that fuck dogs, they are the men that want to touch on supple young skin and all the intentions that that combination of words should generate in your mind, or they are furry ABDLs. Or, you know, the puppy boys and the puppy girls, like Leadhead. Their sexual cravings too strong for them to contain because they are so bottom coated that if they weren't just gay men, they are subordinate people that wish for somebody to give them the permission to be degenerate creatures. Furryvore is nowhere near as fucking cantankerous as any of this shit. They are actually one of the more normal people, because at least all they want to do is look at inflation art. They, unlike the rest of these motherfuckers, can at least pay for the thing they're interested in. And if there is a fucking artist that wants to draw it, then God save their goddamn soul. These kinds, like I said when we got to this section the first time around, this, Alex, is the answer to all your questions. Because when people usually think of furries, the ones they're thinking of are the ones that act like Pamperchu in this subgenre of furrydom. They always go to these furries and then measure furries by this behavior. The ones that were responsible for getting furry conventions banned from certain locations, it was the fucking crinkle furs, as they are called. Whether it be for trolling purposes or it be for trying to leave their mark on the world. These are people for whom which their desires are a little step under or above the ability of looking for a response from the abyss to show and prove that I'm alive. They are the individuals that can't leave well the fuck enough alone. Whether it's a personal craving of their own, or the desire to make somebody else feel a type of way around them, and then getting glee and joy from doing that. So where Leadhead says, and I quote, Zoom. When Leadhead says things like, my girlfriend is really manic, she's up and down and everything felt pointless because I couldn't paddle her out of her manic depression, I got interested into the one person I could have an effect on, then one thing led to another. It feels like nothing I did could fix her was the root cause of how I ruined her. This was me removing her agency. No, you cannot buy me gifts and make her happy with emotional bribes. You can also not make her happy by just being there for her in the same room. I thought buying her affection is the same as the affirmative action of a good partner. I went to a family friend and he opened up to me about cheating on them when I opened up about hers, and now I understand that actually he was a piece of shit. Sex with multiple partners is who I am. She should be a part of the healing process to solve it. Telling the truth is like pulling teeth, so I lured to suicide and a life note to the mistress and woman. I only ever sent the light note, but I eventually was found out as having made the suicide note. I have a need for sexual dependency for being loose. I like having sex constantly through my hyperactive bottomism. This is why I needed my accommodation for a relationship to have an open relationship to work. I spent my life from 15 that I fucked my friends. What's the problem? I speak deeply sexually to anyone, but I will only kiss the homies goodnight. She was willing to flex for me and wanted to have the first hall pass. This was the first time I felt happy about acting on the temptation of my hypersexual cravings. Anything I do and I said is co-signed by my woman to tell, so I'll drop the Boston's Harbor worth of tea all over my sex life. Don't dare judge me for it. My cheating partner was being annoying by trying to convince my fiancé to leave me, but my wife and girlfriend convinced him to be friends with me again. I became the moral compass of sex for the household, taking on responsibilities for my children. When people like Leadhead say such things like this, as a part of their understanding of how they want to frame themselves in their actions. Granted, Leadhead isn't a furry, they're a puppy girl, which means they use a means of otherism, otherkin behavior, which they list through that one specific word that came from video 6. What was it? Did I write it down? Therian. They use their Therian lifestyle choice as an excuse to justify their actions. The furry diaper lovers, they are the individuals that decide that they will have the most idolatrous and most annoying actions in existence. And the reason they can do so is because I felt like it. I liked it. I liked it a lot. It's what I like to do. So, if you could imagine the creepy wholesomeness that is John Waters. You know, John Waters. Thin-ass mustache, motherfucker. The guy that if Macaulay Culkin, or as he should be known as the thick bricklayer, dicklayer that is bedding his wife, Brenda Song, Macaulay Culkin. When Jonathan Waters would be the kind of person who looks like he's a pedophile, but actually he's a pretty chill guy, even if he is into the macabre. This is the kind of person that sits there in the park that, unironically, if he's being played by a character like John Lithgow, or any other male actor that could pull off a cowboy, sitting in a room saying, yeah, they are every time you see them come outside of school, we stay the same age and they stay just the same. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Those are the ones that are used to castigate every single furry as a whole. Look back at what was said by the gay furry. That was the counterposed argument that was documenting what we learned in Super Smash Orgy 69. The fact of the matter of him wanting to make a video was that he wanted to expose this thing he wanted to learn about furries, but he never tried to understand the furries. And therefore, his viewpoint of them was a simple, narrow-minded view. Most people, they are on the outside looking in on something that they don't understand. And to rationalize it so that they don't have to address it anymore, they assume, oh, all furries must be like this degenerate motherfucker. And they completely send all of them full send as disrespectful, despite the fact that the furries know they're forever doing a campaign of litigating their fucking optics about the things they're into. And for many of them, where they're more than open to be honest about the shit that they do get up to, they look at them and they say, yeah, even though I do like to have sex with men in a room, because all I know is when a man loves a man, when a man loves a man, when a man loves a man, and all I know is when a man loves a man, with multiple men to a bed with women on the floor over in the room doing tattoo shit, and you got the men just laying on the bed touching each other. They're the ones that in the room with the guy that thinks that he's there because he wants to infiltrate the furries. You got that one weird-ass guy in the back who's fucking dancing to the fucking goth music. I forget how it goes. Doom, 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 doom. And he's having a fucking moment from American society saying, would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. And then he takes a diaper full of that hot box urea. And that's unfortunately the people that they're being compared to. It's the worst fucking targeted campaign and disinformation campaign you could have ever made on the internet for all their issues. It's sick and it's degenerately fucked up. Because you think, if they were just fucked people, oh, people touched you when you were a kid, and this is why you're like this. You could have sympathy. You could even have empathy. But that doesn't mean you want to live around them. But no, most of them do it because they love the attention. And because they love the attention, the more attention they get for their actions, the more people associate them with the behavior, the more furries catch shit, regardless. Anybody who's been here when Star and Horror would have conversations about furries and how furries are spoken about. You shut up, bitch ass up! You shut up, bitch ass up! You shut up, bitch ass up!
Gotcha, bitch.
Anybody who's been here when Star and Horror had conversations about furries and that back and forth that they would have, where Star would say one thing and Horror would try to make her understand that that's not what she's talking about, and Star would still get upset about it. That. But the whole spectrum of the conversation. Everybody's focused on that narrow fucking ass litmus test sliver that is niggas like Pamperchu, and the rest of the goddamn internet is stuck with them in the room, smelling like dog shit and piss and dead carcasses. It's what you imagine Frank from Donnie Darko must smell like. Not because he's a furry, but because he's a dead body in a bunny costume. Ace, that's horrible. May you never find another shiny. Listen. I'm not happy, but I'm not going to say that to her. Because then she's just going to take it out on me. You're not the one that has to sit. See, any of you could have left. Any of you could have left and saved yourselves. But you stayed and you stayed here. I can't leave. I'm the MC. I hope you're happy. Anyways. It's like I've finally been anointed. Ow. It's like I've finally been anointed. Just stretch one fucking bit and you can hear the pop in my spine. It's like popping stars back. Anyways. You can leave. You just take the show with you. No, Fatal. It's like Hotel California. You can check out, but you can never leave. We all stay up here. Locked in the Mind Palace. Anywho. There's a good chance, if not for the music, if for the coverage, assuming that it's safe and legal, because it's on YouTube, that I will still end up catching limited ads. So, for content like this and more, remember, support your Negrohood today, or you hate black people. Every single bit of it has been sponsored and brought to you in part by Horror, torturing Carl because it's apparently the way that she shows her appreciation. And brought to you by Carl's last brain cell. Any and all donations are appreciated and welcome, but not expected or demanded. And any and all super chats are going towards the next raising, which I wrote down Expedition 33 ahead of time simply because since this is going into April, I believe this is the first time which I've been money positive for income for our streams. Inside of Community Group Gaming, there are still people who are listing out games that are to be looked at for what we will then put money towards as the next campaign. The last winner was, of course, South of Midnight. We have titles such as Star of Providence, Mouse PI for Harder, and Mistopia. If you are inside the Discord or wish to become a member of the audience, find your way to the bot and click the button for you to join inside the Discord, for it's inside the section that is easily accessible for all newcomers, for them to get ingrained within the culture and choose their particular denomination of Carl, so they may become Carlists and fight for the praise of the one true Carl. You can simply be able to drop your option in there. I would ask that you send it with a game tutorial or a game trailer of the game in question that would be looked into. So far, based on everything that's there, ouch, my back. Based on everything that's there, it looks like for the first week of April, I have a full plate in front of me. I got Path of Exile 2, I've got South at Midnight, I've got a bunch of other fucking games, I've got Helldivers 2, I've got multiple things I'll be doing that month. Not to mention the edited videos and whatnot. And, of course, daily content and yapping with Carl. So, all of the monies go to a wonderful place. Me. But unfortunately, it's also not going towards my liquor cabinet. Not like I need one. But, sanity purposes, support is indeed nice. If one is to support, the most immediate, fastest way for that money to reach me quickly is, of course, through Ko-Fi. The second fastest way is YouTube. And the third fastest ways are donations through Super Chats as well as through Twitch. And if you're a person who wants to be able to pledge and show your true faith as a cultist, you can be able to use Subscribestar, even though Subscribestar probably is going to be appreciated simply on the factor of how often it's not getting used, even as I make more content for you all to do. At the same time, I also suggest becoming channel members, as channel members are going to start getting shoutouts and thank yous inside the videos, as well as long-form donators that pledge a large and high amount will be thanked in the background of all edited content in the thank you section moving forward. I'm working on 2 different secret projects that will go out at some point in time, alongside the editing of all the work for things such as the dare drops, as well as all of the streams and content I already do in my output. Did you miss horror? Kinda, you did. And as for everything else, for any ideas and any controversies of the Carlisms, feel free to make clips and edits and highlights as you see fit, and promote them on the platforms where you see fit. And of course, if in all of the streams that you choose to connect to, should you wish to suggest something that is clipped be used as a soundboard or sound clip for the server, since we are now actually, I believe we're fully level 3. Let me check. Boop, 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 boop. Server boost. We are not fully level 3, but we are level 7. Which means right now we have 36 soundboard slots. Should we maintain the 7 boosts? Why did she do that? For the same reason she gave me the thing. As a way to troll me. What do you mean, Kappa? We have a lot of soundboard slots now. So the more clips that you put out there, the more clips that I am able to make of soundboards, and the more clips that you make of soundboards, the more soundboard sounds that will hit alerts. Honestly, Bolster has been like a #1 clipper thus far. Some of y'all need to put some fucking effort in. Any of those sounds get clipped onto the soundboard and then become alert sounds, and you too might hear your favorite moments of Carl posting as a part of the live stream. Oh! Ugh, fuck. Yes, she did indeed warn Carl, and I agreed to doing it, and I'm suffering the consequences of the actions. Like I said, monkey, tree, honey. She's trapping me with the promise of content. But it comes with a Faustian horror bargain. An actual demon, an actual devil. Shame, shame, shame. Anyhow, I am going to either attempt to lay down and deal with my vertigo, or I'm going to drink a lot of water that is on my desk, deal with my vertigo, and then attempt to get back to work. And by work, I mean video games. And by video games, I mean probably working either on Merchants of Rosewell or something probably in tune to like Monster Hunter with horror, once I have the ability to sense time. Or at least until my legs stop spinning. Bon nuit. Bon nuit to you all. A curse upon your houses, a plagues upon your children. I hope horror stubs her big toe in the next 5 minutes. Good night, everybody. I will see you in the funny papers, and I will be billing you all, especially you, horror, for therapy. Goodbye. Ah, ah.